Hello everybody, Joe Bacon Donuts here. Welcome back to another episode of Umineko. Last time we left off, Natsuhi's trial, it ain't going so hot. And our boy Battler there took a pretty hard fucking L, along with Beatrice. It's not looking so good. Now we're on a class field trip to go find, I guess, wherever fucking Kinzo's body is stashed. You know, assuming he's dead, which he is, but they don't know that. But they assume it, but they don't know, so we're gonna find out. After I finished recording yesterday, I proceeded to do schoolwork for like 7 fucking hours straight. That sucked. I'm really gonna have to stop waiting till literally the last day to do all my assignments. And that means after this, I'm gonna have to start again working on them. Because they're not due until, 6 days from now, but, little chunks at a time. Like, I wish I could do my Japanese class homework at work, but the government PCs, they don't have the Japanese language pack already installed on them. So I can set the keyboard configuration in the settings to be like, yeah, let me type Japanese, and it's be like, all right, cool, you need to download it. But then the government computers are like, no, you're not allowed to download anything. Because, reasons. And it's like, yeah, that's fair, but now I can't, do my assignments. So that just leaves me to do my, Asian history assignments, which, also not too bad, but, yeah, I'm just making complaints. I'm lazy. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. But to make it harder, I am taking an extra class this semester because the school said, oh yeah, by the way, you need to take this, it's like how to learn class, basically. But they told me that after I'd already, got my tuition assistance for my 2 other classes I wanted to take this semester. And it was past the deadline where I couldn't drop those classes without having to pay the fee. The entire fee out of pocket. So I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. So I'll just take an extra class and have fun. It'll be fun. It won't be too hard, right? And it's not hard. It's just tedious. Tedious and boring. It's like, this is fucking... It's the equivalent of this meeting could have been an email, but for an entire fucking, class. Not great. Anyway, you don't want to listen to me bitch and moan about how hard my school life is. Anyway. Umineko! Hey, Kinzo, how you doing? Erika used her detective's authority to take everyone, even Natsuhi. I gotta click on the right screen. Up to the 2nd floor to search every room, starting at one end. Even for rooms that were thought to have nothing at all to do with the crime, Erika did not relax her search in the slightest. Her search was thorough in every single room as they moved through them all.
まだ金蔵さんはどこに隠れているか教えてくださらないのですか？
いい加減になさい。
And make things a lot easier.
私は知らないと何度口にすればいいのですか？
夏日さん、
The cat's out of the bag already.
このまま調べていってもきっと金蔵さんは見つかりませんよね。
Of course not. Kinzo doesn't exist. No matter how long the search continues, it's just a waste of time. This was known by both Erika, who was the witch's piece, and Natsuhi, the one who knew the truth.
となると、捜索はあの廊下の突き当たりの部屋を最後とします。つまり、あの部屋を残して、
That Kinzo
すべての
is in
部屋
here.
に金蔵さんがいなかったことが証明されると、どうなると思います？
He isn't on the 3rd floor, or the 1st floor, or the basement, and he isn't on any of the rooms on the 2nd floor, except possibly the one at the end. So if he really did exist inside the mansion, it had been proven that he could not be in any room except for the one room at the end. In other words, this is Hempel's Raven. Because it had been established that a living Kinzo didn't exist anywhere except the final room at the end of the corridor, that automatically meant that a living Kinzo existed in that final room. And that room at the end of the corridor was...
突き当たりの部屋って 何の部屋だっけ？
Lambda Delta was munching on another refill of popcorn.
夏日の部屋です。ラムダデルタ卿。
You fucking hid Kinzo under your bed?
つまり金蔵は夏日の部屋以外に隠れ場所はなかったということになるのよ。赤で言う必要ある？
もちろん。
夏日の部屋を除くすべての場所に金蔵は存在しない。
というわけで残すところはこの部屋だけとなりました。以上によりこの部屋以外に金蔵さんはいらっしゃらないことになりました。
ここは私の部屋ではありませんか？私の部屋のどこにお父様がいると？
I don't know, under the bed, in the closet, chopped up in the drawers. In a rage, Natsuhi unlocked the door to her room and pointed inside. Of course, Kinzo was nowhere to be seen.
どこにお父様の姿があるというのです？ほら！
なるほど。いらっしゃられないようですね。
How strange.
私たちが来ることを察知してまた窓からお逃げにでもなったのでしょうか。
If Kinzo wasn't in this last room, it meant that he didn't exist anywhere. There's no living Kinzo outside the mansion. There's no living Kinzo inside the mansion. Therefore, no living Kinzo exists. However, Erika didn't make that argument. She had brought things to this point, but she didn't make it checkmate. It was because Bernkastel didn't want to win by cornering Natsuhi with the red truth, but by forcing Natsuhi to admit to a humiliating resignation.
私がこれまで捜索してきたのは金蔵さんの姿だけではありません。金蔵さんが24時から朝まで隠れていたことを示す痕跡です。
Yeah, we're not going for the 1-2 punch knockout. It's more put her in her submission hold and make her tap herself.
そしてそれも存在しませんでした。つまり24時から朝までの間、金蔵はある一室にこもり続けたことになってて、そしてそれは夏日の部屋ということだわ。
赤き真実によるチェックメイトが金蔵の幻という駒を夏日の部屋にまで追い詰めたということよ。
ねえ夏日さん、つまりあなたは朝までこの部屋で金蔵さんとご一緒だったことになるわけです。それでもあなたは金蔵さんのことをご存じないとおっしゃられるのですか？私が赤き真実で認めるわ。24時から朝までの一晩、生きた金蔵は夏日の部屋を除く全ての場所に存在しない。その真実から夏日の部屋にしか存在しなかったと議論を進めることを許すわ。
司法取引ねえ夏日、頭の悪いあなたでももうそろそろまずいと気づいてきたんじゃない？これが最後のチャンスよ。金蔵を犯人にしなさい。後ろ宮家当主を犯罪者とし、自らの保身のために当主の栄光を自らの手で打ち壊してみせなさい。あなたがその勇気を見せたら、あなたを当主をかばうために濡れ衣をかぶろうとした悲劇のヒロインに筋書きを変えてあげるわ。
Damn, you're really fucking twisting the knife, ain't you, Burn?
お父様を犯罪者にすることなど
取引拒否。いいわベル、やっちゃいなさい。
24時から朝までの一晩、生きた金蔵の存在する余地は、あなたのベッドの中以外に存在しない。それは
Gross.
どういう意味ですか？
この部屋の徹底的な捜索および厳重な科学捜査の結果、
She found the cum stain.
この部屋の全域で
She got the black light
24時
out.
から朝までの間、金属ただしあなたのベッドだけを除きます。
A shocked silence dominated the room. Natsuhi completely forgot to close her mouth.
昨夜
Her open mouth.
黄金発見の前後の頃、推定23時頃、3階窓より脱出した金蔵さんはあなたの部屋の
ベッドの中にかくまわれていたということです。そしてさらに気の毒な捜査結果ですが、あなたもこのベッドで就寝されていたことが判明しています。
Well, that's not a very good look.
重ねて復唱する24時から朝までの人が生きた金蔵の存在する余地は夏日のベッドの中以外に存在しない。そして夏日も昨晩同じベッドで就寝したわ。
あら、仲良しさんたちね。二人で仲
Well,
良
you
し
know, it's
枕を分けっこし
it's
て眠
you
った
know,
わ
it's
け
it's
ね。
October. It's getting cold.
青き真実
You know, his old bones.
以上から後宮夏日と後宮金蔵には
I really don't
情
want
報
to think
の可
about
能
that.
性があったと推測できるわ。男女が同じ枕で一晩過ごして他に何を推測しろと。
無礼者！私が敬愛してやまないお父様となんて許せません。
夏日、青き真実には赤き真実で
I'm
反応な
just
さい。
sitting here with a face like I just bit into something
も
sour.
ちろん魔女でないあんたに使える赤はない。だから私が代わりに赤き真実で語ってあげてもいい
Just
よ。
taking it all in.
私を納得させられる証拠を示せるならね。
そんな証拠 あるわけがありません。私をどこまで愚弄するというのですか。おのれ
Natsuhi tried to attack Erica, but Ava pinned her arms behind her back so she couldn't do anything.
なんというおぞましいことでしょう。夏日さんは後宮家に復讐するためにまず後宮家の全てを乗っ取ろうと企てたのです。そのため夏日さんは体を武器に金蔵さんを籠絡したのです。
そんなことはしません。私は自分の体を夫以外に許したことはただの一度もありません。
否定されたい気持ちもわかりますが、
Poor Kraus, getting NTR'd beyond the
あ
grave
なたが金蔵さんと密会を
by
重ねてい
his
た
dad,
こと
who's
は
also beyond the
すでに
grave. How
複数
what
の
an
関
odd
係者から
scenario.
の証言が明らかです。だって昨晩だって金蔵さんの書斎で二人っきりでお休みのご挨拶をされてたんですよね。それどころか明らかな情報の功績の証言も複数得られています。
そんなバカな。誰です。誰がそんないい加減なことを。ゴードシャノンエヴァさんでしょう。そんないい加減なことを言ったのは
Eh,
あなた
Ava
で
would
し
say
ょう。
anything.
関係者証言を受領したわ。これは致命的ね。もう疑いようがないわ。
Scandalous.
ねえ夏日、もうあんたの名誉なんてこれっぽっちもないわけだけど、最悪のかけらを紡がれる前に最後にもう一度だけチャンスをあげるわ。金蔵はいませんでしたって言っ
Mm-hmm. You still got one out.
夏日、あんた強情だわ。もう後宮家なんてどうせボロボロじゃない。そんなにも金蔵がいることにして遺産問題をうやむやにしたいの？
これは私がお父様に託された
Not
後
really.
宮家の名誉を守る最後の
You just
試練
think
で
that.
す。夫の事業は必ず結実します。それによって借金を返済するまで後宮家の家督を引き渡すわけにはいかないのです。お父様の名誉も夫の名誉もそれが私の使命なんです。
死者の名誉を守ろうとは見上げた根性だわ。
But ultimately, doesn't
死
amount
者
to
じゃ
much.
ないわ。夏日の頭の中の
Mm-hmm.
都合のいい妄想の名誉よ。
Yeah, in this scenario though, Kinzo's still alive.
本当の金蔵は その名誉を守れなんて一度たりとも夏日に命じたことなんてないんだから。
Kinzo would never stoop so low. As Natsuhi screamed, she fell down to her hands and knees. She no longer had any way to reject the fake truth that Burkestel and Erica had weaved.
ゲームマスターラムダデルタの名において本ゲームの勝利者がベルンカステル教であることを認めるわ。意義ある者は名乗りを上げよ。
Anyone in the crowd, anyone at all. Of course, there were none. All of those who might have objected had been erased.
意義ある者なし。ベルン、あんたの勝ちよ。見事な勝ちっぷりだったわ。真相のかけらをあなたが紡ぎなさい。
Yep, just do a little bit of creative revisionism.
それでは私が真相を紡ぐわ。これがこの悲しく間抜けな物語の真相よ。本当は泣き笑いしながら罪を認めた夏日に自ら語ってほしかったんだけどね。それがお約束なんでしょ。
Is it? (1986) At a unspecified time, after being forced into an unwanted marriage, Natsuhi developed a grudge against the Ushimiya family and was filled with a desire for revenge. Trial summary, page 3. As revenge for financially ruining her birth family, Natsuhi also plotted to take over the Ushimiya family's fortune. Trial summary, page 4. When Natsuhi learned that the wealth of the Ushimiya family was for all intents and purposes controlled by Kinzo himself, she initiated sexual relations to curry favor with him and managed to ensnare him. Trial summary, page 7. Burkestel documents, page 682. To curry favor with Kinzo, Natsuhi repeatedly disguised herself as Beatrice, a witch and figment of Kinzo's imagination, and engaged in sexual acts. Kinzo saw Natsuhi dressed as the mistress from his past and was easily ensnared. Additionally, a servant happened to witness her in this outfit, forming part of the basis for the legend of the witch. Trial summary, page 8. Submitted evidence, number 17. Burkestel documents, page 802. However, late at night on 1986, October 4th, Ushimiya Battler discovered the hidden gold. Natsuhi planned the crimes after the relatives raised a fuss and insisted that Battler should succeed the headship. She murdered the children in the cousin's room and tried to frame Battler for the crime. Furthermore, Genji was murdered because he was opposed to this scheme. Later on, Hideyoshi was also murdered, for some reason. After this point, Natsuhi displayed a strong intent to murder all those involved without discrimination. Trial summary, page 27. Supplemental materials, B, page 61. Burkestel documents, page 1103. The concrete details of the crime are as follows. 1986, October 4th, 2400. Natsuhi decided to commit the crimes. Because Genji refused to assist her when asked, she murdered him. She then murdered her husband Kraus in his own room. Trial summary, page 40. Supplemental materials S, page 8. Burkestel documents, page 1105. Grid Court Internal Documents, Library of Law A09, number 9974. Well, they're citing sources, which means it has to be true. Afterwards, she went to the cousin's room on the upper floor of the guest house, waited for Rosa to join the rest, and killed George, Jessica, Maria, and Rosa. She mutilated the necks of the bodies. Afterwards, because there were people in the downstairs lounge, she waited in an empty room upstairs. She hid in this empty room until the people in the lounge dispersed and went to bed. Trial summary, page 41. Who's emailing me? School, I don't care. Supplemental Materials S, page 10. Burkesell Documents, page 1131. Great Court Internal Documents, Library of Law, A09, number 9974. The people in the lounge dispersed just after 3 a.m. Natsuhi left the empty room and escaped from the guest house. She returned to her room, where she met up with Kinzo, who had been hiding there. They spent the rest of the night there together. Kinzo left the room early next morning and concealed himself somewhere near the guest house. Trial summary, page 41. Supplemental Materials S, page 29. Burkesell Documents, page 1200. Great Court Internal Documents, Library of Law, A09, number 9974. Afterwards, Kinzo saw his chance and carried off the bodies of the 6 victims, one by one, hiding them. Unfortunately, these hidden bodies have never been found. Trial summary, page 42. Supplemental Materials S, page 37. Great Court Internal Documents, Library of Law, A09, number 9974. Natsuhi, who had failed in her scheme to cast suspicion on Battler, changed her plan to include the murder of all present. Trial summary, page 58. Supplemental Materials T, page 19. Burkesell Documents, page 1348. Great Court Internal Documents, Library of Law, A09, number 9974. Predicting that one of those present would eventually want to take rest in a private room, Natsuhi concealed herself inside a closet in one of the guest rooms. When Hideyoshi visited the room at approximately 1300, she murdered him. Trial summary, page 61. Supplemental Materials T, page 26. Great Court Internal Documents, Library of Law, A09, number 9974. Natsuhi once again concealed herself in the closet from the time the others became aware of the incident at the time that they carried out Hideyoshi's body. Furthermore, as proof of this, a button from Natsuhi's clothes was found in the closet. Afterwards, she exited the closet and tried to return to her own room. However, Fruto Erica discovered her on the way, and Natsuhi confessed to her crimes after questioning. Trial summary, page 63. Supplemental Materials T, page 32. Submitted evidence, number 26. Burkesell Documents, page 1348. Lambda Delta Documents, line 7. Great Court Internal Documents, Library of Law, A09, number 9974. Great Court Internal Documents, Legal Management, U99, number 0107. Great Court Official Notice, number 01724434. Great Court Official Notice, number 01724434. Trial of Illusions, number 0147-007982, 1986, October 5th, 2400, decides as follows. Ushimi and Natsuhi confessed to the crimes. For a period of 13 months following this announcement, related documents may be perused at the Great Court Legal Office Document Management Center for subsection. Great Court Deputy Attorney General, Chief Inquisitor, Delaner A. Knox. It's a pretty damning official report.
私がやったことにすればいいんでしょ。そう言わせたいんでしょ。
Though she had given up and decided that it would be useless to try and talk her way out of this any longer, Natsuhi sat down and screamed. It was a sad incident. I wanted to believe that, despite the pitiful circumstances which led her marriage into the Ushirmiya family, Natsuhi had been able to find some small measure of happiness with Uncle Kraus and Jessica. But instead, by Natsuhi's own hand, Uncle Kraus, and even her beloved daughter Jessica, had been heartlessly killed. It was even harder to believe that grandfather had been an accomplice and hid the bodies. However, several people had given clear testimony that grandfather's mental state for these last few years had been far from what anyone would consider normal. Perhaps possessed by a mad devotion to the mistress he had lost long ago. Grandfather might truly had believed that Aunt Natsuhi was a reincarnation of Beatrice. Where is grandfather now? Like Erica theorized, did he really believe that he could revive Beatrice by carrying out murders following the epitaph and succumb to Natsuhi's cajolery? Cajolery? I think it's cajole. I think in that word the J is actually pronounced J, not H. Right now, is he holding some kind of disturbing ritual with the bodies he carried away?
これで満足ですか？私にこう言わせたかったんでしょう。
Natsuhi sobbed as she spoke.
これがあなたの復讐なんでしょう。19年前の男。
And the rest are like, what? This man from 19 years ago that Aunt Natsuhi kept mentioning was the man who had supposedly framed her. However, referring to a man from 19 years ago was as far as she would go. And she made no attempts at all to explain what had actually happened back then.
きっとこの中にあの男の手先が混じっているはずです。あの男はあなたたちの誰かを通じて今のこの私を嘲笑っているでしょう。なら伝えなさい。これで気は晴れましたか。19年間あなたを災んだ痛みと苦しみを少しは言えましたか。ようやく。
I'm gonna tell it to you straight, Natsuhi. No one here knows anything what the fuck you're talking about.
私をここまで追い詰めたのは
Well, except Erica, I guess.
それ認めさせたかったからですね。
夏日さん、私たち以外に部外者は一切存在しません。意もしない人物がさも存在するように振る舞うなんて、往生際の悪い芝居はやめてください。
Erica laughed mockingly, but as Natsuhi looked at us, as she looked at some being behind us, she hung her head and shook. Then she confessed to her sin.
私は殺人を犯し。
やっと直接的な言葉で罪を認めま
Case
したね。
closed.
いいえ、昨日今日の事件のことではありません。19年前の殺人について告白します。
Yeah, we gotta start at the beginning. The real beginning. The adults all whispered together, wondering what this was about. Because they'd never heard about a murder case 19 years ago. What, did you really push that servant with the baby off the cliff?
私は罪を犯しました。許せなかったのです。その赤ん坊が。
赤ん坊？今さら何の話ですか
？19年前のあの日、私はお父様より一人の赤ん坊を託されました。いつまでも跡継ぎを見守ることのできない私に、ならば養子を迎えよとお父様がおっしゃり、施設から連れてきたという一人の赤ん坊を
This is yours
私に
now.
抱かせたのです。それが私にどれほど女としての屈辱を与えたか。
I mean, not
想
really,
像がつきますか？
because I'm not a woman, but I can guess. With a mix of conflicting emotions of anger, sadness, regret, and possibly defiance, Natsuhi confessed. The humiliation as a woman that others had given up hope on, her even bearing a child. And also, the indescribably unpleasant feeling of being made to nurse a strange baby. It caused her great sadness and rage. And before very many nights passed, it ate a hole into her heart.
そして私は心を悪魔に売り渡したのです。あれは赤ん坊を抱かせた使用人と共にバラ庭園から船着き場の方へ散歩に行った時でした。私は一人になりたかったのです。赤ん坊を連れたその使用人の女は律儀に私の後について回りました。一人にしてくれとさえ言い出せず、
I mean, you could have.
赤ん坊の泣き声から逃れられず、 その日より19年間、私を苛む長き頭痛の日々の始まりをうめいていました。そして昨夜
Well, it's unheard of for some psychosomatic symptoms to appear like that, so that tracks.
はるか眼下の岩浜にこの赤ん坊を放り捨てることで全てなかったことにできれば、そんな悪魔の誘惑を私、そしてそれが本当にできたらどれほど素晴らしいかと、その誘惑にほんの一瞬耳を澄また赤ん坊を抱いた使用人が大きな石を踏んで足をくじ
No, so you didn't even do anything.
よろめいた。そして粗末な柵に寄りかかり、その時柵が大きくきしんだきました。私は危ないと言いながら肩を掴もうとしました。
But you ended up pushing her.
いえ、そんな曖昧な言い方はしません。懺悔します。告白します。私はあの時確かに
One solid shove.
その使用人の肩を両手でどんと強く押し飛ばしたのです。粗末な柵は根元から折れ、使用人とその手に抱かれた赤ん坊と一緒に眼下の岩浜へ転落していきました。その瞬間のこと鮮明に覚えているのに、なのになぜか曖昧ででも不思議な気持ちだったのを覚えてなくしたというより、まるで何もない宙に二人が音もなく飲み込まれて消えたようにさえ感じたのです。だから私は二人が岩浜に落下した音さえ聞いています。いえ、きっと聞いているの
I
です。
just didn't register.
でも消えたと思い込みたかったから、その聞いた音をきっと記憶から消し去ってしまったのです。
それから
私は一瞬これが夢だと信じました。あの高さですから、ちょっと身を乗り出したくらいでは眼下の二人は見えません。
I mean, that could also be because of the shape of the cliffside, but
だから二人が落ちたことさえ、ほんの数秒前のことさえ現実のことなのかわからなくて、きっと私はここから赤ん坊が落ちればいいのにと願いすぎて
you willed it into existence.
白チュームを見てしまったに違いない。そう自らに思い込ませ、足早にバラテーユに戻り、赤ん坊は使用人に任せ、私は一人ここで休んでいたことにしました。そしてお父様に赤ん坊はどうしたのかと
Yeah, like, hey, where's that kid?
任せた使用人の姿が見えないと騒ぎになって、
Eventually, the broken fence was discovered, and the two corpses were found at the bottom of the cliff. The baby's origins apparently couldn't be made known, so its existence was hushed up. And the official story was that the servant simply died in an accident alone.
私は一度に二人も罪なき命を奪った気の毒な使用人については遺族に十分なねぎらいをしました。
I mean, I'd hope so.
真相を知らない老いた夫は不幸な事故を嘆きつつもそれに納得してくれました。そしてほんの数年前老衰で亡くなり、私は墓前で真相を告白し謝罪しました。しかし私はあの赤ん坊に謝罪したことはありません。そう、それがあなたの目的でしょう。だから私は今ここで罪を告白します。後宮夏日は19年前にあなたを
Murder.
崖から突き落として殺そうとしました。でもあなたは死んでいなかったのですね。こうして
Yeah, you got better.
それでも 私を母さんと呼び、この島へ帰ってきて、こうして復讐をされたのですね。
I mean, no,
あな
but
たはこの19年間、母と呼ぶはずだった私に突き落とされたことを知って、
I mean, there's no way to have learned that,
ど
but
れほどの憎悪の人生を送ったのでしょうね。そしてあなたは、私があなたを突き落としてから得た18年間の人生を、こうして全て、もう私には愛した夫も娘もいません。そして私には名誉もなく、
well, you know, just a little.
人殺し呼ばわりされて、
Yeah, that's not very good either.
本当に人殺しですものね。ええ、そう。
I mean, with any decent lawyer, you'd be able to get that charge dropped in court real fucking easy.
あなたの目論見通り、
So, again, not really.
私は今や人殺しとみなされています。どうですか？復讐にはこれで十分ですか？夫と娘を殺され、人殺しの汚名を着せられ、不貞の汚名まで。
Yeah, depending on what country you're in, that's illegal.
こうして生き恥をかかされる
Hell, even
私を
your
見て、
your job. It's illegal for me. You know, if I fuck someone's wife and I get found out, or you know, maybe their husband too, that's bad. Like I can lose rank. I can fucking get fined. You know what a draconian system the military is. Haven't you ever heard of free love, man?
あなたは満足ですか？さぞや満足でしょうね。私、家族、名誉もすべて奪い去ったのですか？
Yeah, now that I think about that, I asked a guy that I worked with in the honor guard who was in legal, like about that. Like, how strict are the rules? Is it like only if like you know? Because let's be honest, there's most certainly fucking swingers that live in base housing. You know, there's some freaky people who you know are around, and it's like, so even if it's like a fully consensual thing, like from all parties involved, they can still get you. And he's like, yep. I'm like, damn, that's fucking wild. Not that I'm interested in that kind of thing. Just, you know,
まだ
one of those things I was curious
言い張
about.
るんですか？まったく、あなたは本当に往生際の悪い。
聞こえていますか？19年前の呪われた赤ん坊、これで満足ですか？あなたは私から全てを奪いました。まだ何か足りないというのですか？私は許して。
ダメだな。
何か言いました？
全然ダメだぜ。
Do you see it? The truth?
バトラ君、
ああ、ダメだな。全然ダメだぜ。
It's not clicking. Ushima Ballad. Erica. Nox. Lemdale. Percocet. Beatrice. That's our higher level cast. Deceased, died, suspended, alive when the game was suspended, died on the second Twilight, died on the first Light. Oh man, this is moving really fast and it's hard to read. That's the downside of having like a really big screen. You have to actually like move your entire head to see all the text moving up. We know who was alive and who was dead when shit happened. It's fine. We know who the cast was. We saw them. We talked to them the entire time. Actually, it's easier for me to look at my OBS screen on my second monitor. It's a lot smaller and easier to see like the entire words as they go by. Though it is at a much choppier frame rate. All the goats! Shout out to them. You need a strong supporting cast. You know, stagehands and whatnot. New trophy. Oh, I love new elements. How thoughtful. Commemoration of a recent sojourn. But we got time. Let's head up that tea party. Alright, we're back in court.
Erika, Doranor.
Hi, 我が主。
Having your victory party?
お呼びですか？
あなたたちは引き続きこのかけらにとどまり、残る第1から第4のゲームすべてを解明しなさい。
Sure.
もはや魔女幻想を主張する哀れなかりそめ魔女は存在しない。むき出しの真実を徹底的に暴いてやりなさい。
For all us dummies who are completely unable to figure it out on our own. Man, you'd have to be real fucking stupid to be like that, now wouldn't you? What a moron.
このフルドエリカに解けぬ謎はありません。
当然よ。それでこそ
Good thing
私
we're
の
not one of those people,
私の
right,
分
guys?
身だわ。
I'm just not going to tell you what it is because, you know, I don't want to give you the answer, you know. Teach a man to fish and all that, you know. I could just give you the fish, but you know, if you don't figure it out and learn for yourself, what's the point, yeah? Bergesel wore a massive and horrible smile, which Erika shared. Beatrice's witch illusions would disappear, and the results of all the previous games would be painted over. It had been crushed in every way possible, and only the naked truth remained. To Erika, such a weak truth might as well have been fish on a chopping board.
過去の4つのゲームはすべて夏日の犯行とそのイレギュラーで説明可能です。もはやベアトリーチェなる魔女の犯行とは二度と語らせません。直ちに編纂に入り、極上の物語を献上してご覧に入れます。
ベアとの魔女伝説は一かけらも残してはダメよ。使用人たちの間の噂、
Nothing but total
不可
victory
解な出来
allowed.
事をそうであるかのように語る空気、金蔵の幻想と連動した魔女幻想、すべて完全に処分しなさい。
無論です。直ちに着手いたします。現在家具たちの身柄を拘束。よりしろの特定を急いでいます。
The seven sisters of Purgatory had already been taken into custody. Those noisy sisters who had served Beato now faced nothing but denial. What sort of fantasy were they based upon which allowed them to manifest? Everything would be exposed and denied.
アイゼルネ・ヨングフラウはすでに調査を開始しております。最新の調査結果では1960年代にニューヨーク近隣で製造された可能性が濃厚です。
Oh, okay.
すでに補佐官が現地入りしております。
Like we're talking New York City or, you know, the state of New York. It's not very, you know, New York's a pretty big place. Both the city and the state. Like upstate? Are we in like Niagara? You know, Utica?
1960年代、煉獄の
High
7
quality
種類
goods.
はメイドイン USA。ソロモン王に連なる1000年の魔女に仕える家具とか威張っておきながら、とんだまがいものじゃない。何者なの？
報告によればオカルトマニアの富豪たちに
Selling fake artifacts.
イミテーションを売りつけて高額詐欺を働く集団があるとか。騙された富豪が同様に曰く月を語って転売するため、 マリア間で偽られ神格化された可能性があるとの裏付けと詳細特定を急がせています。
その界隈では、
Yeah, that
後ろには
tracks.
金蔵はどんなパチモノにも大金を払う乗客だったとか。それが煉獄の七姉妹の正体？
Well, we know Sakataro is just, fucking bought at Walmart, basically, so
おかしいわ。
that would track.
ベアとの魔女幻想らしいとんだまがいものだわ。7つの大罪を語る分際でイミテーションの土産物風情だったわけです。
Yeah, it's like when you go to visit the fucking pyramids down in Mexico. Like the Mayan sites, and there's all the fucking people there trying to sell you junk, like, oh, these historical, imitation or replicas are actual, artifacts of it's just fucking all made up bullshit.
まあ私も初めて見た時からいかがわしい土産物屋で売ってる文鎮に過ぎないとは思ってたわけですが。文鎮。その真実はもう七姉妹には突きつけた？
いいえ、まだです。
あいつらまだ自分たちは1000年以上前に偉大なる魔術師によって生み出されたとか
Lost in the
本気で
sauce.
信じてやがります。早く完璧な証拠と真実を突きつけ、自分たちが原価30ドルにも満たない文鎮風情であることを
Like, as a
思い
set
知
or
らせてやり
each?
たいです。その時どんな顔を見せて絶望するのかしら。楽しみだわ。
Damn, ain't no fucking love
そ
here.
の際には私を呼びなさい。最高の紅茶と梅干しを持って鑑賞に来るわ。
Dried like prunes or like pickled plums. Like Vito's witch illusions had already been seen through, and it had been proven that every one of them was simply the result of a human fantasy. What kind of fantasy created them, and what was their basis? The illusions would be confronted with this perfectly proven truth. And at that time, they would disperse like smoke and be completely annihilated. This was called execution.
処刑は見せ物ではありません。原則非公開です。
Tell that to the Italians.
元老院議員であらせられる。
The reason I say that is because I just remembered the scene in Count of Monte Cristo in the beginning, towards the beginning, where they're in Rome for the big carnival, and to start it off, there's supposed to be 2 public executions. One of them, they just hit the guy in the side of the head with a big hammer and then slit his throat, and the executioner like steps on his chest and makes all the blood shoot out. And I guess that's what goes for entertainment back in the day.
大本院が職務を適正に執行しているかの視察です。異端審問官風情が拒否する気ですか？ええ、そうよ。ドラノールたちが職務を正規の手順で遂行するかどうか、私は元老院を代表して視察
Everything here is
するだ
above
けよ。
board.
ワルギリア、ロノレ、ガープたちも現在拘束へ向けて準備中です。シエスタ姉妹子の得体が捜索に当たっています。無論
They're on the
その後に
lam?
ベアトリーチェに関わった3人についても拘束処刑します。ドラノール、シエスタ姉妹の正体は？
Oh, just some
高い
guns.
確率で犯行に用いた凶器が
Yeah.
無理城ではないかと推定されます。ガートルード上級補佐官が専従チームを結成。
Episode 4 definitely made it fairly apparent
全件
in the
調
dining
査
hall
中で
scene.
す。
シエスタ姉妹の処刑も楽しみです。一人ずつまとめて一度に。ジャバの缶を中身全部ポットに入れるバカはいないわ。一
Yeah, I
さ
gotta
じず
space
つ
it out.
ゆっくり味わわなくちゃ。まったくです。処刑は連日行いましょう。家具たちに魔女たちに一人ずつ連日の処刑賞を必ずやお届けし。素
I mean,
敵
you're
じゃ
gonna
な
have to
い。
get creative with it,
何しろ
Yeah,
随分
repetition
の
can
人
get
数が
boring,
いるからね。
monotonous.
2週間くらいはたっぷり楽しめそうじゃない？
誰から処刑するか、その順序を彼らに決めさせるとか。処刑概念についても最高の提案をするように。古今東西のあらゆる処刑を毎日楽しみたいわ。
処刑は大法院規定の方法でと規則があります。
What, just like a simple guillotine or
お
hanging?
任せを我が主。必ずや魅力的な処刑賞を準備いたします。
最低でも四つ咲き刑くらいにはなさいよ。
Where are we getting the horses?
無論です。ヨーロッパ各国からアジア各国まで、東西のあらゆる王国が採用した国王への反逆罪にのみ適用される各国最高の処刑を列挙してご覧に入れます。
私からも処刑方法を提案したいわ。
Oh?
それに悩むことは寝苦しい夜の最高の清涼剤だから。
You need some new hobbies,
アイ
Bart.
デアを練って今度手紙で送るわ。
かしこまりました我が主。ではベルンカステル式はその最後のフィナーレに。全ての幻想を打ち破り、ベアとの魔法体系を完全に打破した最後の最後にて、ベアトリーチェの処刑にて我が主の望まれる最高の処刑を。
Ooh, what a spectacle.
ありがとうエリカ。あなたのおかげで私は病の辛さを当分の間忘れることができそうだわ。あなたは最高だわ。私の駒、私の分身、そして私の可愛い娘。
I mean, that's one way to think about it.
もったいないお言葉です、我が主。
And don't go creaming your jeans, Erica.
エリカ、あなたに栄誉と褒美を与えるわ。ベアトの最大の象徴であるあの大広間の肖像があれを外して叩き割り、その薪にてケーキを焼いて食べなさい。
You don't really want to like burn something with a lot of chemicals in it for food.
そして残った額縁にあなた
I
の
mean,
肖
sure,
像
the
画を
cake would
掲
be
げ
like
る
in a
ことを
tin
許すわ。
or a pan, so it's not like it'll be going directly into it, but it's gonna be in an oven, you know, it's still gonna soak into the top. Garish painting.
最高の栄誉です。
I mean, it has ambiance.
ベアトリーチェの名前と痕跡のすべての抹殺、抹消、それがすべて終わるまでの間、あなたにこの閉じられた六軒島の主となることを命じるわ。奇跡の魔女ベルンカステルの名において、その日まであなたに魔女の位を与えることを宣言するわ。これよりあなたは真実の魔女エリカを名乗りなさい。
真実の魔女。ありがとうございます、我が主。この栄誉に恥じぬ一層の働きを誓い
Oh,
ま
I'm
す。
sure you will. Even though she was nothing more than a piece, she was being granted the honor of calling herself a witch like her master, if only for a brief stretch of time. Erica was so moved at having her hard work acknowledged in the greatest form that she trembled.
ドラノールは引き続きエリカを補佐し、その進捗を私に報告しなさい。
御意です。
ところでラムダはどこ？
あちらにおられます。
From the guest seating on the second floor, she pointed downwards. Lambda Delta could be seen beneath Battler, who hung there dead, run through by the red longsword. Anyone gonna clean him up?
後ろ宮バトラか。面白い男だったわ。そしてもっと面白くなれたかもしれないのに。
Yep, had potential.
残念ね。
見事な死に様じゃない。
Very dramatic.
エリカ、このバトラの亡骸は屋敷の大広間に飾るといいわ。次に私がこのかけらに訪れるときは、私をその前で迎えなさい。
かしこまりました。我が主、愚かなる男の姿を永遠に主の勝利の記念碑といたします。
Can you at least put him in a cool
それ
pose?
は素敵ね。洒落てるわ。漆喰で塗り固めて美しい純白の石像にするといい。可愛らしくデコなんかもしてくれちゃったら最高ね。
はい、ラブダデルタ教。
Well, if we go like from what we know from modern archaeology, like all those pure white marble, Roman statues were like painted, quite colorfully. Because, why wouldn't you? It's more lifelike that way.
ご期待に添えるよう努力します。
おめでとう、魔女就任。一時的なものであれ。私
When? Erica was so overcome with emotion that tears came to her eyes. Because no greater pleasure exists for peace than having its efforts acknowledged by its master.
最後にはベアとも剥製にしてやりたいわ。そして大広間に高々と飾ってやるの。
白樺ご飯？
What?
人間狩りの伯爵よ。
What's that? Is that like the most dangerous game or whatever? Lake and the Count. Lake Shirakawa is referred to Ooh, I hate the fucking N into the N into the M. Onmaraki no Kizu, an award-winning 2003 novel by Kyogoku Natsuhiko. The human hunting count is referenced to Galaxy Express 999, which I haven't watched yet.
私、
Or read.
魔女じゃなかった頃にあれを読んで、永遠の命を得た人間ってどうしてここまで残忍になれるんだろうって不思議に思ったことがあるよ。あの時の私は正直共感できなかった。
魔女になって1000年を生きてよくわかるわ。あれの筆者は本当の意味で私たちの残酷さをよく理解していたのよ。
Book club time.
次はどこへ行く？どうせ旅立ちはお互い背中を向けてでしょ？
あなたに退屈をしたくないからよ。
ありがとう、ベルム。でも私はきっと100を数えたらまたあなたを探し始めるわよ。
Is this just what you do?
退屈させない子ね。だから好きよ。
Wasn't your whole goal to keep Burn like locked up with you forever?
またどこかで会いましょう。
But I guess that too would become boring after a while, so,
もっとも100年先か1000年先か未来永劫再会しないかもわからないけれど。
大丈夫よ。
It's the journey that's the fun part.
愛し合う二人にかけらの海は狭いわ。
第三の男？
天井桟敷だってば。
Quit
あの
making
星空
literary
のように
references I don't
輝く無
understand.
数のかけらを一つ砕くたびに一晩は退屈の毒から解放されると分かったら、お前だって星の数を数えてみたくなる。
うまいうまい。
The witches, known as Voyagers, traveled across the countless glittering futures of possibility and gobbled them up, trying to escape their illness called boredom for as long as they can. The tiny fragment created by the human known as Beatrice had now been gobbled up by the two witches and had lost its glitter. The two, who had earlier called themselves rivals in front of Beato, now stopped that charade and laughed together playfully.
エリカ、新しきこのかけらの支配者、あなたが真実を紡ぎ、この世界の終焉までの物語を描きなさい。次は第6のゲームだっけ？
Yep.
はい、第6のゲームです。
エピソード6はなんてタイトルにするか
I'm sure it's gonna be a
あな
great
たに
title.
決めなさい。もはやこの物語の紡ぎ手でありマスターであるのはあなたなのだから。
ありがとうございます。実はもう決めてあります。
Do tell.
あら、もうなの？なら聞かせてちょうだい。なんてタイトルなの？
はい、エピソード6。本当はじらしたいんですがお教えします。
Oh, you.
何よ、 もったいぶらずに教えなさいよ。新米魔女のくせに先輩じらすとかってありえないわ。
Don't get all high and mighty now that you just got a little bit of rank.
エピソード6、チェックメイト・オブ・ザ・ゴールデン・ウィッチ。
Dun dun dun, title drop. Yeah, we still got time. That was a short one. Off to the question mark element realm. Ugh. So, who we meet with this time? Oh, hey Battler, still kicking? In that cathedral devoid of people, a figure could be seen, still staring up at the heavens, its chest pierced with a long red sword which pinned it in place to the ground. It was the figure of Battler. Ironically, it looked just like what he had done to Beato with blue wedges in the 4th game. Battler had died quite some time ago. No, in this place, the concept of death means nothing except that one has stopped thinking. Therefore, in a sense, Battler was not dead. Yeah, it's like, you know, when they were in the trial, once the soul leaves the body, it just kind of goes into the wax figure mode. So he's floating around somewhere, just gotta, you know, squeeze him back in. After being defeated in a fight over the truth, he no longer had the strength to think of a way to resist. And so, he was dead. Delaner's massive longsword, which had been left in place of a tombstone, fastened Battler to the spot even after his death. This was being lit by a faint light seeping out of a high skylight. Quiet footsteps rang out across this still cathedral. From the darkness behind a pillar, a woman slowly steps forward. It was Beatrice. Her eyes had no light in them, and looked the same way they had been for so long in the Golden Land, still muddied over with gray. Previously, she couldn't even drink black tea properly without assistance. But now, though it was slow, and though there was no life in her eyes, she was, surprisingly, walking. And with slow, deliberate steps, she reached Battler, who was still dead and pierced. Then, slowly, she touched him. She tugged on his sleeve. However, Battler showed no reaction. When she realized that it wasn't sleep, but death, the witch with a forlorn gaze drooped her head even lower. Then she quietly whispered,
"Usotsuki."
Beato softly touched Battler. Then she pressed her forehead against Battler's chest. There was no longer any heartbeat. It wasn't just because he had surrendered. It was because the witches had banished him from the game board. So now, Battler would never return. So now, the Golden Witch Beatrice had no more reason to exist.
ありがとう、嘘つき。さよなら。そして、ごめんね。
All this for some roundabout reason that you couldn't just talk to him about. Then, the Golden Witch, her task completed, scattered as a spray of gold. In the Golden Land, the gray rain gently continued to fall. There was a faint aroma of good black tea. Pieto stared blankly at the surface of the tea. There was Virgilia continuing her knitting, along with me and Delaner talking to each other. This is a flashback to a memory of battlers, which Delaner's sword must have given him as it pierced him. A flashback of that time Delaner had come to visit the tea party in the Golden Land. I mean, she certainly did, bud. Kind of fell flat on your face, though. Delaner. I thought she was a ruthless killer doll without a heart, but maybe she actually is pretty approachable. Though, of course, neither of us will show any mercy when fighting on the game board. For a while, we gazed at the rain-drenched rose garden, as we quietly enjoyed our tea.
しかし、恐ろしいもんだな、お前の戦い方は。ノックス10回だったっけか?
Did it just, like, unlock all the... Okay, yeah. Nox's 5th, not included. We've read them over before, but... Nox's Decalogue. 10 Commandments created by Delaner and Nox's father and used in heresy trials. 1. Forbidden for the culprit to not be anyone mentioned in the early part of the story. Is forbidden for supernatural agencies to employ detective technique. Is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. Is forbidden for unknown drugs or obscure scientific devices to be used. 5th, not included. It is forbidden for accident or unaccountable intuition to be employed as detective technique. It is forbidden for the detective to be the culprit. It's forbidden for the case to be resolved around clues that were not presented. Observers are permitted to put forward their own conclusions. Interpretations. It's forbidden for character to disguise themselves without any clues. Gee, is number 5th the fucking mystical Chinaman? Which, to be fair, not very relevant to a close circle on Rokenjima. Nox's 5th. What is Nox's 5th rule? No Chinaman must figure into the story. Yep. Not relevant for this one. But better left, just leave that one out. Let's not talk about that one.
ミステリーのお約束ってやつだろ?
はい、我が父が考案した戒律です。
隠し扉は存在してはならない。ノックス第3条だっけか? Daから探偵は隠し扉を探す必要さえないわけだ。なかなかの暴論だな。
I mean, you still gotta look, but you're not gonna find any. Francasel talked about this. She said that searching for hidden doors was a waste of time because they're forbidden by Nox's 3rd commandment. Makes me want to argue back that and say it isn't so uncommon for a rich family's mansion to have a hidden door or two built into it. But apparently, you can get away with that kind of rule in the mystery genre. As an aside, there exist many wonderful mysteries in which hidden doors appear, and where hidden doors are the theme. Though, of course, this is limited to novels which have the premise that hidden doors exist. What is this story? Is Umineko built around the premise that mystical Chinamen exist, and that's why we're allowed? It's not included because that's the premise. Without that premise, hidden doors mustn't exist. So if that premise isn't there, there's no need to search for hidden doors. I think it's probably the essence of her ridiculous argument. I get the feeling that the detective trying to expose the truth and the illusion trying to mask it with fiction getting blended together, leading to a bizarre form of argument similar to a devil's proof. Making a locked-room murder seem to be accomplished by a witch with magic. That's fantasy. Exposing that it was a human crime done with tricks, that's anti-fantasy. Investigating all possibilities to expose what those tricks are, that's mystery. But claiming that possibilities with no limits supporting them are unworthy of investigation, that's also mystery? Hidden doors, by definition, are hidden in a way that there can't be any clues. Would claiming that hidden doors therefore necessarily exist even if the detective can't find them be anti-mystery? That's enough of that. This argument is far too of a digression for the riddles that I'm actually supposed to be solving. My fight is very simple. I'm only fighting to explain that it was possible for a human to carry out those crimes which were supposedly carried out by a witch. This whole discussion about mystery and anti doesn't serve any purpose, so I can't bring myself to have any particular interest in the rules known as Nox Decalogue.
Nox はお嫌いですか?
Nah, it's good to have a framework to work in, but, it can be a little limiting to get boxed in, you know?
苦手だな。隠し扉の存在を調べもせずに全否定可能なんて悪魔の証明並みにうさんくせえな。ファンタジーの対極のはずなのになぜか同じ論法になっちまってる気がするぜ。言い過ぎた。お前の親父が作ったんだもんな。
お気になさらずに戯れに過ぎないとおっしゃる方もいらっしゃいますので。
バトラ君には実会はかなり傲慢なものに感じ
Yeah,
ら
like
れ
who
る
are
ので
you
しょ
to be the one to impose the rules on what is and isn't allowed?
正直なところを言えばな、隠し扉は存在してはいけないから調べる必要さえないなんて。
Yeah, that'd be completely fucking
そん
ridiculous.
な頭のネジが落ちてないかどうか一緒に床を探してやるところだぜ。
ではバトラー、その第3条をなかったことにしましょう。そうなったら密室ミステリーはどうなるでしょうか。
What if Nox's third commandment, hidden doors are forbidden, didn't exist?
つまり密室トリックのうちに隠し扉が OK になるってことか。
手がかりや伏線のある隠し扉ではありません。隠しなのですから無論探偵にも発見できない隠し扉です。
I'm pretty sure for some of them, Beatrice said and read that there are no hidden doors or whatever in the room, so...
つまりはそういうことですよ。
最悪だな。密室ミステリーが読み物として破綻しちまう。
That was another way of saying that those kinds of stories would simply no longer work. No one would want to try to solve the mystery in the first place if they knew the answer might just be an unforeseeable hidden door.
せめて隠し扉はありませんと保証してもらってからじゃないと推理する気も起きない。なるほど。
Yeah, it's hidden because it's hidden, which means you can't find it when you look for it. So if that solution is pulled out of, the hat at the end like a rabbit, it's like, what was the fucking point of the whole thing? Like the thing in this case is the deduction and like gathering the clues and searching and checking all your leads and witnesses and compiling the info. If it's just like, oh yeah, it was this door no one knew about.
ノックス第3条は必要だな。
Just takes the wind out of the sails,
それがなけりゃ密室ミステリーは読み物にもなりゃしねえ。
推理する気も起きないとはつまりどういうことですか。
つまり読む気もしねえってことだな。
そういうことです。人間は推理可能だという保証を得なければ思考さえできないか弱い生き物なのです。
Having too much freedom to work with can be a bad thing.
推理可能すなわち頑張れば解けますよという励ましが必要なのです。
Have some bumpers set up so that way you don't just go off in the weeds and get fucking lost for who knows how long and then none of it even mattered. That might actually be true. It's the same with exercising. If you're told to run 10 laps around the campus, you can tough it out. But if you're made to run without even knowing how many laps it's gonna be, you'll probably get tired out before you even make it around 3 times. Yup. Same thing goes for thinking and reasoning. Depending on whether or not a problem is guaranteed to be solvable, the way we humans react to it changes completely.
推理小説で探偵が犯人が分かったと宣言するシーンがあるでしょ。
Yeah, if you're told there is a way to reach X, then it becomes okay. Now it's a a puzzle, a mind game. But if it's just like I don't know, it's like why even start? It's like when you get those shitty fucking shitty mazes on like the back of an Applebee's like kids menu that where you get your 3 crayons and you gotta fucking color in the things and draw, but there's like no way to get out of the maze. It's just badly made. It's all dead ends. There's no way to reach the exit. It's like why even do this?
手がかりはすべて記したから、読者諸君どうぞ推理をしてくださいという合図なのですよ。
へえ、単なるお約束のセリフかと思ってたが、そんな意味があったんだな。
意地悪に言うと、探偵がそう宣言しない限り、どんなにミステリーを愛する推理自慢の読者であっても、推理をする気力は生じないということです。
過去のゲームにおけるあなたもそうではありませんでしたか？
You know, a little bit. You come to mention it. Maybe that really was the case. My fight against Byato began in earnest, starting with the second game, I think. When Byato threw locked room mysteries at me, at first, I didn't seriously try to tackle them. After all, I knew nothing except that people had died in a locked room, and that windows and doors were all locked from the inside. I had basically no hints. So I refused to debate, on the grounds that if I couldn't fight because of a lack of clues made reasoning on the grounds that I couldn't fight because the lack of clues made reasoning impossible. After all, Byato sneered at me, didn't she? Asking whether I would repeat that over and over forever in an endless repetition of moves. At the time, Byato said this.
貴様ら無能どもがいつも嘆いてみせる思考停止の理由、情報不足。そしてそれに対し情報を与えると、今度はその情報の真偽を疑う根拠否定。便利よな。無能を棚上げする実に小気味よい言葉よ。
Ah, the good old days. Then she said she'd give me reliable information that couldn't be denied, and created the rule called the Red Truth. Only after Byato had done that for me did the curtain finally rise on my battle with her.
俺はベアトにこの物語は挑めば解けるという保証をもらって
Yeah, you can't just lie directly to the reader.
初めて同じ土俵に上がったというわけか。
ベアトリーチェ、不思議な方です。
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
謎こそが魔女の住まう狭間なのに、自らその謎を暴くことのできる赤き真実をあなたに与え始めたのですね。
You could say that the red truth is a hint Byato gives me so that I'll agree to compete in this war of reasoning. It's a carrot. Being given a hint is like she's saying, go on, try solving it. It is possible. An enigma which is guaranteed to be solvable can't be called a true enigma.
これではまるでベアト自身が自分は本当は魔女じゃないって自分で認めてるようなものじゃないか。
おやおや、確かにそうなりますね。本当におかしな子です。
Byato gave no answer. With gray eyes, she did nothing but blankly gaze at the steam rising from her black tea.
我が父は思考する力に杖を与えるために実戒を生み出したのです。決して物事を傲慢に決めつけるためではありません。
思考する力に杖。
そうです。ノックス第8条。提示されない手がかりでの解決の
Like here's a solid foundation that you can build off of, you know, to build your grand mystery, you know. A prefab, so to say, to start off with.
これは手がかりなしに当て推理で推理をしてはいけないという意味だけではありません。
逆に言えば、出題者は解決のための手がかりを必ず提示しなければならないということです。
つまり実戒に従うなら全ての謎には必ずヒントがあり、よって必ず解決は可能だと保証されていることになるわけか。
Sure. I see. So this is what she means by a crutch for the power of thinking. If you can believe that it's solvable, you start feeling the desire to have a go at those riddles. If you're capable of believing that hints do exist, you get fired up about rereading the story to search for them.
確かに
Which I'm sure many people have done, and I'm sure many people are watching this as a rewatch, and they're like, oh yeah, I see it now, how this led to that. But I don't have the time to go reread fucking 80 hours of backlog content, be like, oh yeah, I see now, I get it. Just to resume later on where we are currently in the story. We'd be here to the end of goddamn time. The heat death of the universe.
ノックス実会はミステリーの出題者に課す制限と思われがちですが、読み手にとっても大切なものなのです。実会を杖とすることで、私たちは推理する勇気と必ず隠されているに違いない手がかりを求めて、
Yeah, willpower sometimes is needed.
何度も
These
物
books
語
are pretty
を
long.
読み返す気力を授かるのです。
硬くて開かないジャム瓶の蓋みたいだな。
Gotta run it under the faucet.
母さんがよく言ってたぜ。開かないと思ってるといくら頑張っても開かないって。スポーツにもそういうのあるよな。必ず自分は成し遂げられるという強いイメージがあるのとないのでは記録に大きく差が出るというし。
In that case, the Nox Decalogue isn't really a set of arrogant and strict restrictions. You can see it as a way to encourage readers who are trying to solve the mystery by telling them to give it their all since it's definitely solvable.
面白い解釈だ。しかし世の中の推理小説すべてが
Nope.
必ず実戒を守ってるわけでもないと聞いたぜ。そういう作品にぶち当たった時騙されたってことにはならないのかよ。
実会もまた解釈の一つに過ぎず、全てのミステリーに適用できるものではありません。父の原理主義者の方々は実会を破った作品を激しく糾弾される方もいらっしゃるようですが。
There's no end of arguments like this in the mystery world. Is this or that famous detective novel a fair mystery? In other words, one that follows Nox's 10 Commandments? That sort of argument is already an eternal theme in the mystery world. In fact, in mystery discussions, arguments like these sometimes become more heated than talk about the actual solutions.
そりゃ糾弾したくもな
Yeah,
るだろうな。
that's fan bases in general.
実戒に従い解けると信じて挑んで実は解けるようにできてませんでしたってオチだったらさぞや悔しくて仕方ないだろうぜ。
That's right. When fighting with the Decalogue, there is just one thing you want guaranteed from the beginning, and that is the guarantee that the detective novel would adhere to the Decalogue. If a work labels itself as an orthodox mystery, then you have nothing to worry about. However, the mystery genre contains many unorthodox subgenres within it. Does that mean that trying to use reasoning in an unorthodox detective novel is a complete waste of time?
それはそれで傲慢な気もするな。
はい、私も父の実会をそのような傲慢の武器にされるのは非常に悲しいことです。
This is just a meta discussion from the author, being like, just venting.
お前は実戒を武器にさっきベアトと戦ったわけだが、それはつまりこのベアトのゲームの世界がノックス実戒にのっとっているという証なのか。
When I asked that, there was a strange silence. Virgilia, Delanner, and, of course, Beato all remained silent for a while. Almost as though my question had touched on the core of something.
それは私の口からは言え
Yep,
ません。
not your position.
どうして？
これはこの子の作ったゲームです。あなたと勝敗を決めるためのゲーム。この子はそれをミステリーとファンタジーの対決のように呼んでいました。しかし残念ながら本格推理とは一言も言っていません。すなわ
Who's to say what
ち
rules
実
it
態
does
に
and
のっ
doesn't
とっ
follow?
ているという保証はないということで
Maybe
す。
Beatrice is the mystical Chinaman.
しかし同時にミス・ベアトリーチェはあなたとの勝負のゲームだともおっしゃっています。それはすなわちあなたにも勝利する余地があるという。
すなわち推理は可能だって。 そう言いたいのか。
He says, looking directly at the reader.
この子に言わせればおそ
Said,
ら
no,
く
no,
推理は可能となるのです。
you can do it.
しかしこの子とバトラ君が送り手と受け手の関係であるように2人は異なる存在です。ベアトにとって推理可能なつもりで出題したものがあなたにとっても推理可能なものなのかは別の問題です。
The fucking logic calculators in your brains might work differently. For example, let's say we pose a simple riddle that any Japanese person would be familiar with. However, if the person we're telling this riddle to is a foreigner with a Japanese-English dictionary in their hand, it might be almost impossible to solve. In other words, it's possible to have a one-sided solvable problem, which might be easy for the questioner, but extremely difficult for the person trying to solve it. By the way, do you know of the foreign riddle, why do dragons sleep all day? The answer is, because they fight knights. If you translate that, it's just not going to make any sense. What's the manga that's in Jump right now that the translator just gave up on? It has to do with like fucking word problems and puns and whatnot. And it was just absolute fucking nonsense in English. So there was like, he's like, I just can't. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's like when you're watching an anime or you're reading a manga, and you see something that's clearly like a fucking Japanese pun wordplay in joke, and you know, if the translator doesn't put in a little TL note, it's just like, I'm sure that meant something, but you just said a bunch of fucking nonsense. It's a riddle from the English realm, so it might be a little tough for a Japanese person.
だからこそ私はこの物語がバトラ君に絶対に解けるものだと約束することができません。しかしこれだけは約束できます。赤き真実でそれを保証します。
From looking at it from the right angle and tackling it the right way.
なんだ。
ベアとはあなたに解いてほしいと願って
It would be solvable.
解けるようにこのゲームをこの物語の謎を生み出しました。それだけは私が赤き真実で保証します。
It was the one guarantee that all those who try to use reasoning desire.
その答えが我が父の実戒にのっとり導き出せるものかは分かりません。しかしバトラが悩み苦しみ推理の指針を求めるときにもしも思い出したなら我が実戒も試してみてください。再び挑む勇気とひょっとすると何か新しい発見を与えてくれるかもしれません。
ありがとうよ。心底行き詰まったらお前の戦い方も参考にしてみるぜ。いいのかよ。敵に塩を送っちまって。
お気になされずに手土産も持たずに訪れた茶会です。茶花の代わりとなったなら幸いです。それに私と再び相まみえたならそんな悠長なことを言っている暇はおそらくないでしょうから。
Fair. Get all of it out of the way beforehand. Knox's Decalogue, and Virgilia has read
ベ
Truth.
アト俺に解いてほしいと願って解けるようにこのゲームの謎を生み出した。
In other words, Beato thinks I can solve it. Isn't that proof that it's possible to apply logic to this? Of course, that's from Beato's point of view. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be possible for me to work it out. We've already determined that Beatrice is an extremely illogical creature, so what might track as, being complete common sense to her, absolute wild foreign concept to literally everyone else. But compared to before now, when I didn't even know whether applying reasoning was possible or impossible, that one sentence might give me a great deal of courage and strength. At least it has the power to silence any negative thoughts about it just being useless anyway.
推理できると先に相手に証明させなくては推理をしない。
Was it useless or unless? No, it was useless. Okay. Whew.
まるで奥手な若者の恋愛のようですね。
恋愛？
ええ、自分のことを愛してくれると相手が先に証明しない限
Don't want to
り、
get burned.
自分も相手を愛したくないでしょ。
It's tough to wear your heart on your sleeve like that. Both boys and girls want to hear someone say I love you to them first without being prompted. That's the dream. They don't want to love another person until they're sure that person will love them back. After all, there's nothing as painful as a one-sided love, and the emotional scars of a love that doesn't work out last a long time. Because they're afraid of that pain. More than anything else, they want assurance that the other person will love them back.
なるほど。推理小説における作家と読者の関係を面白く表現しています。
Yes, maybe you could liken detective novels to that. Both the writer and the reader want the other party to tell them, first want the other party to tell them, I will solve it, or it can be solved. Until the writer is assured that readers will definitely attempt to solve their story, they don't want to write it. The same goes for the readers. Until they are sure that they will definitely be able to solve the story if they try, they don't want to read it. Because they don't want to write what they consider a masterpiece and be hurt when no one reads it. Because they don't want to apply logic to what they consider a masterpiece and be hurt when they realize that it's all useless.
その理論によると、まさに奥手な小学生中学生の恋愛だな。気があるくせに打ち明ける勇気もなく、相手の告白を待ってもじもじしたまま何の進展もなく、ひと夏が終わる。いやいや、他の男とくっついちまうことだってあるぜ。俺の初恋もそんな感じだったさ。
Along with these one-sided feelings they can't express, they lament the passage of a summer which will never come again and the days of their youth end. The writer who wouldn't write until he gained the support of the readers goes for alternity without realizing he's made in work. The reader who waited for the writer's rise to fame goes their whole life without knowing the joy of the mystery
バ
genre.
トラ君、その卵が先か鶏が先かとどの段階にまで進んだら相思相愛の関係になるのですか。
Well, you gotta make a mutual effort.
それは積み重ねだろうな。まず友達関係から始めてコミュニケーションを増やし、こいつはきっと俺のことが好きで俺もこいつのことが好きだと疑えなくなった段階を2人が共有できたところで、多分自然と恋人関係を進めるんじゃ
We
ない
know
か
that's not
と。
how it works.
唐突な告白で始まった関係は割と別れることも多いが、実は互いに告白したことがなく気づいたらずっと一緒にいたって連中の方が案外付き合いは長いってのが俺の今日までの印象だ。
つまり互いが相手を信じる信頼関係が生まれたらということですね。
Sure.
かもな。意外だぜ。ミステリーってのは作家と読者のバトルだと思ってたんだが、
You know, it takes two to
実は
tango.
そうじゃないのか。
ええ、互いが信頼し合った上でしか成立しない愛ある関係なのですよ。
じゃあこいつと俺の関係も殺し合いじゃなくて愛ある関係だっていう。
Yeah.
意地悪をし合う
Oh, gee.
小学生同士の関係
Who knows?
程度にしか見えませんがね。
Virgilia joked at us in a middle-aged woman sort of way. Still, though I'm not expecting friendship or a trusting relationship, I can't accept her as a rival. Beato is fighting at full force, trying to make me acknowledge that she was a witch, and I'm responding to that and going all out trying to deny that witches exist.
ミス・ベアトが正面から全力であなたにぶつかっている。どうしてあなたは言い切れるのですか？
見てりゃわかるだろ。
あなたに全力で正面からぶつかっていると彼女が赤き真実で宣言したわけではありません。なのにあなたはそれを疑わないわけですか？赤き真実以外は何も信じないとおっしゃったあなたがです。
バトラ君の言うところのコミュニケーションが増え、互いの関係が疑えなくなった段階というものに違いないですね。
Julie and Delaner giggled together. One guy, multiple women. The topic is love. This is not a good battlefield for you. It might be time to make a strategic retreat. Wait a second. Isn't this the worst formation for getting made fun of? I tried out a couple of things to change the subject, and clumsily brought up more refined topics in an attempt to return the mood to something more suitable for a tea party in the rainy Golden Land. But each time, Virgilia saw right through me and laughed at me. Even amidst this, Beato kept looking downwards with those gray eyes, staring into her black tea. Flashback over? Yeah, that's right. Virgilia and Delaner gave me so many hints back then, and yet, I barely thought about them at all. Is this your waking up in the middle of the night when you have a sudden realization thing, but in this case, instead of being in bed, you have a sword ran through your chest? That's way too late now, but let me think. Not that it's too late to change anything, and I have an endless amount of time on my hands, let me think. One more time, let me think about the red truth Virgilia gave me, and the crutch called the Decalogue that Delaner lent me. With the red truth, Virgilia guaranteed that at the very least, Beato left enough room in this tale for me to achieve victory. That red truth guarantee will give me the power to start my heart beating once again. And there's the crutch of the Decalogue, which Delaner lent me. Even she began by warning me that the Decalogue isn't so almighty that it can solve all riddles. But even so, she kind of described it as a method to take on riddles. It's like, now that you have the hammer, don't look at everything like it's a nail. Let me try it. Even though there's no guarantee whether this tale is mystery or fantasy, let me believe that I'll definitely be able to solve it. That it is a solvable tale. A mystery. Let me make one last attempt. Yeah, it feels like it's been a hot minute since we've been here. When I came to, I was suddenly in that strange tea room where I had often argued furiously with Beato across a table. Of course, Beato was nowhere to be found. It was just me, isolated and alone. That's alright. Even so, I won't stop thinking. Okay then. What were Nox's commandments again? I'm sure Delaner explained most of them when slamming me with them. Of course, even I recall them vaguely. What was the first one again?
謹んで申し上げる。ノックス第一条。犯人は物語当初の登場人物以外を禁ず。
When I muttered about what the first one was, Delaner's subordinate appeared, as if to answer my question. Without bothering with an unnecessary hello, she told me nothing more or less than what I wanted to know.
そうだったな。第一条。犯人は物語の最初から登場している人物でなければならない。
Does that mean that by the end of the first game, the culprit must have appeared already? True, that is the most basic of basics in the mystery genre. A given. A given? Have I really kept that as the basic assumption? With each new game, the number of people in this tale keeps increasing. That violates the closed circle. From that moment onwards, everything is screwed up. Did I give up on the inside, thinking that the true culprit or mastermind must not have shown up yet and that reasoning was therefore useless? If I read this tale as a fantasy, new characters keep showing up to the point where even having demon kings or gods or divine creators appear wouldn't be strange at all. Even if the true mastermind first appeared in one of the last episodes, I'd just accept it as that kind of story. However, if I read it as a mystery and stick with that conviction, then there's no need to worry at all about anyone who shows up later, because Nox's first clearly rules them out, stating that it's impossible for the culprit to be anyone who appeared later on in the story. Of course, there's also what both Delaner and Virgilia said. no guarantee that this tale follows the rule of the Decalogue. So of course, I can't deny the possibility that the culprit first appeared in the second game or later. However, this is one way of thinking. This time, I'll forget about the Devil's Proof completely, try to borrow the power of the Decalogue in my thinking. After all, I know by now that I'll never be able to reach the truth without looking from multiple perspectives.
何度も繰り返されたこのゲームの犯人は全て18人の中の誰か
There from the beginning.
19人目の幻想なんて初めから必要ない。
Even the first of Nox's commandments denies the existence of an unknown person known as the Witch from the very start. If I had followed that in the truest sense, I might not have suffered so miserably in the second game.
ノックスの第2条。
謹んで申し上げたてまつるノックス第2条探偵方法に超自然能力の使用を禁ず。
Delena's other subordinate appeared without a sound and gave me an answer to my question. That's right. A detective can't go around using magic.
そしてこれがフェアな戦いであるならば探偵と同様に犯人もまた魔法を使ってはならないということだよな。
謹んで申し上げる。解釈は自由と知りたまえ。
だよな。ああ、
Yep, can't just get told all the answers.
俺の自由に解釈させてもらうぜ。
If this game is a fair battle between me and Beato, then because this tale is solvable, it features no elements which are impossible to explain with logic. In other words, magic cannot, must not exist. When it does appear, I shouldn't suspect that the mystery element is breaking down, but I should instead question why it is shown and suspect the witnesses and observers. That's right. That was Beato's greatest weapon in the second game. Depictions of magic that have no place in a mystery. By showing me that, she forced me to think that this tale wasn't a mystery, and therefore, that reasoning was impossible, and I surrendered. However, if I had believed unshakably that it was a mystery, it would have been completely obvious to doubt the witnesses who claimed to have seen those things. Also, at the end of the first game, it was revealed that this tale had been passed on to people in the future by means of a message bottle. Someone wrote down the incident in the form of a story. In other words, this entire story is a world which includes the personal opinions of an observer, namely, the person who wrote that message in a bottle. In other words, the observer isn't God, it's a human. Therefore, there's no guarantee that the descriptions are truly impartial. By the end of the first game, it had already been made clear that the text violated a consistent premise of the mystery stories, that they must be told from a God's eye view. For that reason, it's possible to doubt not just the witnesses, but the observer as well. If I could have doubted this much, then no matter how many seemingly unsolvable displays of magic appeared, I wouldn't have been able to blindly accept them and give up. However, that raises the question, is it even possible to solve a story written by an observer who isn't impartial? All reasoning ends here if you get obsessed with this. That's why it's so important for me to believe that Beato is trying to fight me through this tale. Because it's a fight, that means I've been given the chance of winning. And the fact that I've been given that must mean that reasoning is possible. This part is the hardest. Unless I believe that that cruel witch took on the risk of losing to try to have a fair fight with me, I can't get past this part. Julia's right, it's just like love. If I can't believe that Beato is fighting me head-on with everything she's got, I won't be able to reason any further than this. Alright, I'll admit it. Unless I admit that we're in love, I won't be able to get any further. When Virgilia ran out of patience with the two of us, shy and incapable as we were of admitting that out loud, she gave me that red truth instead. That was the red truth saying, Beato wanted me to solve the riddles of this game, so she created them to be solvable. What the hell is that? That's like, Sato-san in Class A says he likes you. Like hearing a love confession via a friend. I really am pitiful. Reasoning is love. If we don't love each other, the logic won't open up. In that case, why can't we just say that we love each other? If you think that you can solve it, just do try. You're incompetent, like hell you can solve it. Yeah, according to George Aniki, we call that sort of thing Sundora. That brutal witch is finally starting to look a bit cute. If I meet her again, I want to try saying, "You're such a Sundora." If I meet her again, somewhere. Hit us with the third.
純不動でいいぜ。使えそうなやつを頼む。
謹んで申し上げる。ノックス第8条。提示されない手がかりでの解決を禁ず。
No pulling things out of your ass.
謹んで申し上げる。ノックス第6条。探偵方法に偶然と第6巻の使用を禁ず。
It must not be solved with clues that aren't presented, and it must not be solved by luck. If this tale is made to be solvable, then we can read this the opposite way. In other words, clues must have been prepared so that the tale can be solved. And it has to have been made in a way that it can be solved without relying on luck. If I can believe strongly that Beato is challenging me to a fair game where reasoning is possible, I can be sure of that. That must mean that Beato has already concealed clues, hints, and messages within the tale so far. It isn't from the Decalogue, but Erica, or someone said this. There are 3 riddles to be exposed in a mystery. One is the whodunit. Who is the culprit? One is the howdunit. Why did they commit the crime? One is the whydunit. Why did they commit the crime? All of this means that clues related to these 3 riddles are already present inside the tale. No, strictly speaking, it's like this. Beato scattered hints about because she wanted me to solve those 3 riddles. Though whether I'm capable of catching those hints or not is another matter. Even if you pose a riddle thinking it's easy, it might be difficult for the person trying to solve it. Therefore, it's only natural for there to be a difference in how difficult each person thinks it is. That's why, as Beato went through each successive game, she watched me closely and tweaked the game as needed to get a good arrangement. When Beato realized that I'd completely surrendered in the second game because it was too hard, she secretly worried. Like, oops. If I surrendered and lost the will to fight, the game would no longer remain on an even footing. Therefore, in order to make me regain my will to fight, from the third game onwards, she set things up in a way that made it easier for me, giving me tips on how to fight and a few hints. The appearance of Virgilia and Ronave was obviously so that they could help me. Let's not think about that, okay? Also, though we had the usual crazy magic shows, she gave me the metaphor of the Brawn Tube trial, as well as tips on how to fight back. I finally understood how to fight at the end of the 4th game. Beato managed to have an all-out showdown with me that she probably wanted most of all. Then, Beato acknowledged my abilities had become full-fledged, and entrusted me with her heart. Entrusted me with explaining this tale, didn't she? In that case, it really was dumb of me to boycott most of the 5th game, just because I was so disgusted with those 2 witches. Doesn't matter who the game master is, all I need to do is search for the truth in Beato's game. On the contrary, I should probably thank those 2 witches just a little, for continuing the game in Beato's place now that she'd gone and left everything to me. Of course, I doubt those evil witches were trying to do anything of the sort. Culprit, crime, motive. The answers, the hints to those 3 ultimate riddles must be scattered throughout the tales shown so far. It's probably a very faint light, like trying to find beads that have fallen onto a sandy beach. They're definitely there. However, they're so faint that unless I believe strongly, there's no way I'll be able to find them. Are you saying you can't see them? Because you don't have enough love?
謹んで申し上げる。
なんだ。
物語を遡りたまえ。今の汝には真実のか弱き光を見逃さぬ目が与え。
今こそ物語。
Time for a reread.
推理可能とは信頼関係の先にあるものと知りたてまつれ。
ああ、知ってるぜ。いや、今ようやく気づいたかもしれない。
It's something that must be repeated over and over again throughout the tale. Persistently so.
愛がなければ真実は見えない。
Slowly, the tea room dissolved into darkness. Then, as though I was slowly sinking to a pitch-black sea, I passed through the cracks of that long journey I'd taken with Beato, and kept on falling and falling. It was a bizarre experience, like crossing over the boundary of sleep while still conscious. What, time to review everything as a fly on the wall? The several tales that had come before became faint bubbles. Oh, perhaps small shining fragments that were scattered like stars in the pitch-black sky. I kept sinking on into that sea. Yep, that's really fast flashes that are hard to read. These certainly are things that have happened, maybe. The tales up until now, one after another. Virgilius guided Dante to Mount Purgatory, and led him to Beatrice, the eternal lady who waited at the top. Therefore, the innermost depths lay not at the bottom, but at the peak of Mount Purgatory. The eternal lady had been waiting there for Dante the whole time. And then, Ellipses, I knew. I finally reached the truth. In the depths. No. At the peak of Mount Purgatory. Idiot. You really are an idiot. Yeah, having a sword in your chest will do that. He woke from the sleep of death, and bit by bit, his sense of pain came back to him. As Battler hung there, pierced by the longsword, his head still tilted towards the heavens, life gradually returned to his face, though through an expression of suffering. Man, I love songs with lyrics. Time to get a copyright claim. Battler noticed. The whole time, Beato had been snuggling up against him, sleeping. And when he held her, he found that it was not Beato, but her crumbling remains. And because her form was as fragile as ash, when Battler tried to hold it, just like a sandcastle made on a beach, being washed away by a small wave, it fell apart and lost its form. At Battler's feet lay nothing but the ragged remnants of Beato's dress and a pile of ash. Oh, on top of that pile of ash, he could see something sparkling gold. It was the husk of a single gold butterfly which had been torn to bits. And so, Battler knew. I did reach the truth, but I wasn't able to do it, while Beato still remained in this world.
ベアト、お前本当にバカだろ。俺はようやくお前の出題したこのふざけた謎の真相にたどり着いたんだぞ。お前のお望み通りにくじけずにとうとう最後までたどり着いたのに、なのにそれを待てずにくじけちまったんだよ。お前はあんなにも信じてたんだろう。俺が絶対に真実に至ってくれるって。ならどうしてそれを俺と一緒に信じて待てなかったんだよ。永遠の拷問を強いていたのはお前じゃない、俺だ。俺がお前に過酷な拷問を強いた。そしてお前は最後まで抗い俺に訴え続け、そして俺はようやく今になってたどり着いたってのに、お前はもう待ってなくて手遅れになっちまったって。バカ野郎、どうしてお前が先にくじけちまうんだよ。
It's my fault. I forced her to endure this torture. In fact, I'm amazed she endured for so long. She kept on appealing me over and over and over again, and because I was so incompetent, I couldn't even begin to understand the truth.
バカ野郎、バカ野郎。お前の謎はさ、ひねりすぎなんだよ。どうしてもっと簡単に言えねえんだよ。
I mean, because we know Beatrice puts on a real fucking, you know, she puts on the mask of Beatrice, you know, her gig, fucking cackle and laugh and call you incompetent, but, you know, she's kind of stupid.
バカ野郎。
His scream of pain filled the cathedral of sorrow. The sad witch who wasn't able to let Battler know of the truth. The sad man who wasn't able to understand the witch's truth. Battler howled in anger and sad for both of them. The clock hung on the cathedral showed that it was midnight on October 5th, 1986. Time was up for everything. If you're gonna create a riddle as hard as this and be so proud of it, don't go and set a goddamn time limit on it.
いや、わかるぜ。それほどのわずかな奇跡の中に、お前は祈ったんだよな。お前もじいさまと同じだったんだ。
You prayed for and bet on the power of a miracle, one so unlikely that it was totally impossible, yet less likely than finding a bead you've dropped on a sandy beach. And because you did, I have now arrived at this miracle. But your time didn't last long enough. If I had reached this point even a little sooner, I could have seen the truth. Even if it had been right before time was up, I might have been able to save you. But now, I've been run through pathetically. I can't even hold what remains of you. I struggled, attempting to pull the long sword out, or at least touch her remains by stretching out my arms, but neither worked. At that time, I noticed a golden glint on the palm of my hand. It was a single wing from a golden butterfly. That small fragment of gold was the only piece of Beato that I was permitted to touch. I cried with all my strength, gripped that fragment, and pressed it against my head, apologizing. Why couldn't I reach the truth earlier? Then I pressed it to my chest, promising that even though things had come to this, I would never again lose the truth. When I pressed my hand against my chest, the sword piercing my chest cut my wrist, and blood dribbled out. That blood spread throughout my fist, and it must have soaked that gold fragment with my red blood. It must have been the only way of telling her that I finally found the truth she wanted to tell me. I clutched the wing of the gold butterfly with my freshly bleeding hand and pressed it against the red sword that impaled me. In this moment, Ushiromiya Battler knew and understood. He had arrived at an eternity, at the entirety of this tale. At that moment, it seemed as though a faint golden light leaked out of the gaps in this clenched fist. Hey, Erica. The two witches had their backs turned, and Erica was laughing at Battler's corpse.
本当に無様ですね、バトラさん。あなたの愚かさを石像にして永遠に。
Just then, Battler's chest. No, the red longsword impaling Battler began to shine gold from deep within his chest. That bright golden light began to change the red sword's color, turning it gold.
何事？
Maybe keep it a little more golden. That's like piss yellow.
バトラがこれは何？
Battler coughed up blood and groaned. His consciousness came back. His will to live, his will to fight came back. The red longsword impaling Battler could no longer be described as such. By now, it had become a golden longsword. Then, slowly, it pulled itself out of Battler's chest. After it had finally pulled itself out of Battler completely, it flipped through the air and stuck upright in the ground in front of Battler's eyes, as though it knew who its master was. Battler, crawling on the floor and moaning, grabbed the golden longsword and thought it looked painful. And though it looked painful, he slowly rose to his feet once again.
手の込んだ演出ね。これラムダの隠し玉。
Nope.
その輝きって
He's going off script.
まさか
What is it? The gold of the solution? Lambda stared wide-eyed at the bright golden glow in awe. Noticing that Battler's resurrection wasn't part of the script Lambda had thought up, Byrne also frowned slightly.
悪いわね。最新は却下よ。シエスタ姉妹、その復活幻想を削除しなさい。了解であります。45、410、発砲許可。
Denied. Get your fire solutions.
それが IFF エラーコード999ヒュー
39だと。バカな。
The Chester sisters hesitated, unable to carry out Byrne Castell's orders.
ラムダ、これはどういう茶番よ。完全に魔女幻想は打ち破られて、法廷は私の勝利に終わったはずよ。
悪いわねベル。もう少し付き合ってもらうわ。そうでしょ、後ろ宮バトラ。
No, we still got fucking 3 more episodes to go.
待たせたなエリカ、ベルン、カステル。今度は俺の真実の番だぜ。
再審請求を受理するわ。魔女集会の幻想法廷の閉廷は撤回される。
Yep, calling back the jurors. Send out the
異議
fucking
提出。
notices in the mail.
すでに裁判は決審し、判決は公示されている。
異議却下。いかなる判決も新たな真実の前にはかすむ。
異議提出。バトラはプレイヤーを追放されただけでなく魔女の地位を持たない、上告する資格を持たない。
I mean, he's the head of the Ushiromiya family.
もうね、あるのよ彼には絶対の魔女。ラムダデルタの名において認めるわ。後宮バトラ、あなたを新たな黄金の魔女、いえ無限の魔術師後宮バトラと認めるわ。
Cool. Put on the skirt, Battler. It's the uniform, don't question it.
魔女の位を。
The rank of a witch, which she had desired for so long, had been granted to Battler so quickly. And on top of that, this wasn't anything temporary. This was an official, proper authorization by Lambda Delta. Erica couldn't accept it, and her face turned bright red.
最後の最後まで楽しませてくれるわ。あの子のゲームはいいわ。付き合ってあげる。エリカ、受けて立ちなさい。あなたが私と築き上げた赤き真実は完璧よ。夏日が犯人であるとする真実の構築は完璧だわ。
Poor fucking
絶対に
Natsuhi.
バトラには崩
Just
せ
endless
ない。
punching bag.
無論です。何の心配もありません。それよりシエスタ姉妹、我が主は射殺を命じていますよ。いつになったら命令は実行さ
I
れるんで
mean,
すか。
he outranks them now.
エラーコード39。
Or is it because he's, you know, they're technically contracted to the Golden Witch, and he's the new one?
領主少女には解除コードが必要です。いいね。だからあいつ
Well,
は
I guess they're not
やると
contracted
言っ
under
たに
Beatrice this time.
領主、誰が？このかけらの支配者は誰？私です。
領主、まさかバトラが。
はい、後宮バトラはこのかけらの正当な領主と認定されているであります。
ええ、そうよ。まだわからないの？あの黄金の輝きの意味が。
Not really.
バトラはね、至ったのよ。すべての真実の最新王にね。
The real truth.
だからバトラは今やこの世界の物語のゲームのすべてを理解している。それはつまりゲームの支配者の地位を得たということよ。それを信じたくないでしょベル。
But it makes you seethe.
信じたくもない。いいわ。バトラが本当に全てを理解したのか試してあげるわ。エリカ、
Time to go through everything. Get it all explained.
残念ねエリカ。せっかくこのかけらの領主に任命されたところだけれど、それを剥奪するわ。
Yeah, fucking get rid of those capital letters.
このかけらの新しい領主は後宮バトラよ。悔しい。ねえねえ悔しい。せっかく領主になれたの
Poor
に、い
Erica.
きなり剥奪ってどんな気持ち？どんな気持ち？
私の推理を否定できるものならしてみればいいでしょう。そんなことは不可能。不可。
You're setting up a big game here. Can you back it up?
私の構築した推理に隙はありません。夏日が犯人であることは否定不能。
俺は夏日おばさん以外が犯人である推理を構築できる。確かにお前の真実は否定不能かもしれない。ならば同時に
Just gotta provide a better theory.
お前の真実は俺の新しい真実も否定できない。
Valor spoke with red truth allowed him, with the red truth allowed him by his status as a sorcerer.
夏日以外が犯人で？どうやって？ドラノール、
バトラさんの妄言に付き合ってあげてください。
Slowly, the Laner stepped forward. In her hand was the red long sword of the Decalogue. She also had a blue short sword. In Battler's hand was the golden long sword. The two rivals once again. No, for the first time, they truly confronted each other.
バトラー、待っていました。
待たせたな。
いいえ、あなたの帰りは私の予想より早かったです。
Well, that's good, ain't it?
殺しなさい、トラノール A ノックス。
The Laner's form disappeared in an instant, as though her slow, dignified movements from before were only a lie. The trial drawn by the long sword of red truth burned itself into the retinas of those who saw it. Before anyone had enough time to follow that trial, it was already approaching Battler's chest.
エリカ教の推理により第5のゲームは解決しました。この推理による真実を覆す新事実は存在しません。
Man, they just love using that door sound effect for literally everything.
異なる真実の提示が可能だ。異なる真実の並列により両者の真贋を問う。
In this closed-off world, it's possible for different truths to exist at the same time. Furthermore, as long as multiple truths exist, it's impossible to claim that any of the truths are their single truth. In other words, even if I can't overturn Erica's reasoning, by questioning its credibility and conquering it, I can defeat it.
ベルンの推理は完璧よ。簡単には覆せない。でもね、ベルンの推理と互角の推理を提示できたなら、戦いは氷結となる。すなわち、いずれかの真実は打ち破られて否定されることがあり得る。
笑わせる脚本だわ。悪魔の脚本はやはりこうでなくっちゃ。
では問いましょう。夏日以外の誰が犯人という仮説ですか？
The whodunit? Battler's golden longsword drew both red and blue trails at will.
夏日おばさんの告白した19年前の赤ん坊による復讐で構築可能だ。
ノックス第一次犯人は物語当初の登場人物以外のキンズ。
He was mentioned though earlier in the story.
第5のゲームより登場した人物に犯人は名乗れません。
その19年前の赤ん坊は最初から俺たちの中にいるとしたら、例えば
Yeah.
それが俺だとしたら、
ノックス第8条提示されない手がかりでの解決のキンズ。
Now the clues were provided, you know, when Real was like, tell you about your birth.
あなたが19年前の赤ん坊であることを示す伏線はあったのですか？
Yes.
第4のゲームにおける俺が母親アスムの息子でないとする第1のゲームおよび今回のゲームにおける親父から今回のゲーム、俺の生まれに何か事情があることをはっきり明示している。
Butler proposed that he might be the baby from 19 years ago, and announced that he would reconstruct the crime with himself as the culprit. As the Laner cautiously held her sword at the ready, she gauged the distance between them. Now the Battler had inherited the position of this world's territory lord and even attained the rank of endless sorcerer. His movements surpassed human understanding. By now, the physical distance between them probably counted for nothing, because their extremely agile battle was surpassing the point where the concept of distance made any difference.
まずは見事です。バトラー犯人説お聞かせ願いましょう。
ああ、聞かせてやる。
I can't remember if at the beginning, when like the whole fucking, you know, the phone call started and it was, you know, Battler's voice, if I made the theory that, oh, It's Battler.
それでも
I
説
think I
明が
did.
つく
But I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking pulling shit out of my ass to make myself sound smarter than
夏
I
希おば
am.
さんが犯人だと決めつけることはできない。
But that's also the way, you know, we were led to, you know, think the story was going. With the end of episode 4 and the start of 5.
グッとあなたが犯人というならいくつもの矛盾が生じます。その矛盾があなたのか弱い真実を刈り取る。この私探偵にして真実の魔女。
This time, Erica stepped forward. Ooh, wibble wobble. In her hand, there appeared a scythe like one a Grim Reaper might hold. A ruthless scythe for reaping everything that threatened her theory.
犯行時刻は24時からの1時間しかありえない。あなたはその1時間の間屋敷の食堂にいます。よって犯行は不可能です。
Easily outmaneuvered.
死亡時刻が24時からの1時間の間と特定はされていない。よって犯行は24時から午前1時までの間でな
Yep,
くとも
just
可
when he
能
got
だ。
back. Ooh, new braking effect.
いとこ部屋の殺人に限定します。午前1時から事件発覚までいとこ部屋での犯行は不可能です。
Oh yeah, because you were
虎の腕
listening.
今です。
第8提示されない手がかりでの解決を禁ず。いとこ部屋で実際に犯行が行われたなら手がかりが提示されなくてはなりません。それが朝まで室内の異常を監視していた探偵であるエリカ卿に与えられなかった以上犯行は不可能です。
俺が悲鳴を上げて全員が集まった段階のことだ。そこまでに殺すことが不可能であった。それ以降に殺すことが可能だ。
That was really your battle cry as you fucking cut all their throats real quick. Okay. Battler used a blue flash to deflect both the red truths of that Erica and Delaner had flung at him. Erica's eyes went wide. After all, what he had said was completely absurd. At that time, they still hadn't been killed? Even though corpses were lying in there with their necks sliced open?
いとこ部屋の4人の死亡は赤き真実で宣告されている。魔女伝送のつもり？
No, he just killed them after he yelled, and everyone
あの
rushed
時
out.
点で死んでいたジョージたちを魔法概念で蘇らせたつもり？
Because you yourself said that, like, you know, as soon as he fucking yelled, you did a run around the perimeter of the building.
なるほど。あの時点で死んでたと信じるお前
Which
に
means
と
you
って
were
じ
no
ゃ
longer listening at the wall, which gives him his time to,
死者が蘇らされるみたいに見えるだろうな。ならこれはお前にとっ
so,
て
you know,
魔
do
法に
the
なるだろ
deed.
うぜ。ならお前に一矢報いるのは俺じゃない。
Calling in a
ほざけ
striker?
何度でも繰り返します。いとこ部屋の4人の死亡は赤き真実で宣告されている。そしてその遺体は大勢が確認しています。そして全ての死体は検視を誤らないとすでに赤き真実で宣言済みです。
They most certainly were dead.
これでも食らいやがれ、死者どもめ。
Oh, hey, Runaway, what's up?
その赤き真実が何時の時点でのものかお忘れですか、お嬢さん。
The fierce shower of red was blocked with a magical barrier set up by Runaway, who suddenly appeared right in front of Battler. Now that Beato was gone, the demons shouldn't have been able to manifest themselves in the real world. However, he existed here, and calmly dealt with Erica's attack.
貴様、ロノウェ、どうやってここに？まあいいです。 好都合です。探す手間が省けました。この場で捉えて、あんたも存在否定してあげます。
譲るぜ。一つの傲慢なる真実で全てを支配などできないことを教えてやれ。
Yes, Your Majesty。 では
Alright,
少し
Sekiro,
お相
fucking
手
go
しま
off.
しょうか。どうぞお嬢さん。
ならあの赤き真実の死亡宣告は何時の時点でのものだというのですか。それがあんたには特定できるって言うんですか。特定できない以上、事件発覚の時点での死亡宣告であることを否定はできません。
この法廷が改定した時、ラムダデルタ教は宣言しておりますよ。24時を迎えての答え合わせ。死亡宣告は2日目24時、すなわちゲーム終了時点のものです。
Oh, alright.
そしてそれは事件発覚後と呼ばれる2日目朝以降の殺人を否定するものではありません。
Alright. A little less straightforward than I thought, but
ではあの時点で犠牲者は生きていたと首がばっくりと裂かれているのに。
fair.
それを探偵殿はご覧になられましたか。確かに全ての死体は誰であっても検視を誤ることはないとなっておりますが、死体でない、死体と言っていけないとは言われておりません。
Alright, word game it up. Erica swung her scythe recklessly, but Ronove blocked everything with elegant gestures made with the shield on one of his hands.
じゃああの時点では誰も死んでない。まさか首に傷さえない。だってじゃあどうしてバトラは悲鳴を上げたんです。
Stubbed his toe. Had a nightmare.
足元がお留守だわ、お嬢ちゃん。
Never leave your feet unprotected. Okay. Feet unprotected. This is a reference to a line in Dragon Ball that achieved meme status in Japan, spoken by Kami/Hero/Shen in a fight against Yamcha. Poor Yamcha.
すべてのゲーム開始時、後ろ宮金蔵は死んでいる。
A pitch black hole opened beneath Erica's feet and swallowed her up. She could probably see through to the other side of the hole. It was the same thing you'd see if you looked down through the skylight on the ceiling of this cathedral.
リア。
ええ。
Virgilia could already be seen in midair inside the cathedral. Launch that fucking bone veneer. As Erica fell from the heavens, Virgilia was right below her and thrust upwards with her divine spear glowing blue.
あなたの推理を顧みるべきではありません。金蔵は存在しません。よってあなたの推理の遺体消失が破綻します。
道理です。金蔵以外の人物が遺体を消失させねば破綻します。
Fair.
この程度で。
Doesn't seem like nothing. Virgilia's blue divine spear skewered and pinned Erica in midair. Erica struggled, filled with hatred, but she couldn't get it out easily. Then, all around her, several small, fast things clanged off the walls and surrounded her. Seven people manifested at once.
我らは煉獄の七姉妹、主の仇、思い知れ。
And then they do a cool pose.
ジョージの死後、遺体は一切移動されていない。
He just got up and walked.
ジェシカの死後、遺体は一切移動されていない。
マリアは死後、遺体は一切移動されていない。ローザは死後、遺体は一切移動されていない。ゲンジは死後、遺体は一切移動されていない。クラウスは死後、遺体は一切移動されていない。よって遺体発見後に遺体が消失することはありえない。貴様の推理、遺体は金蔵が運び出したは破綻する。だから何だってんですか。
I mean, it seems fairly important.
死体の消失は説明的。私が推理
Yep, back to the drawing board.
この私が
I mean, it's okay to be wrong. Just not right now. Even with Kinzo's existence denied, Erika was probably capable of escaping this pin by making only a small revision to her theory. However, to her, having to revise a theory she has already created was extremely humiliating.
夏日を追い詰めるためだけに策を浪しすぎた。
推理を遊びすぎました。金蔵の死を赤き真実で語れるのは今やあなたの主だけではありません。
これが魔女の闇を遊んだ報いです。それを知りなさ
Fire
い、
get burned.
フルドエリカ。
Of course, even Erika had doubted Kinzo's existence from the beginning. However, in the trial that had taken place before, no one except Berncastel, as well as Lambda Delta, who was going along with her, had been capable of denying Kinzo's existence. And because of the willful silence of those two, she had been free to shape the truth about Kinzo in any way she desired. She never expected that Battler, who became a witch, would become a witch, a sorcerer, capable of using red without proof. However, she had her own Inquisitor who could also use red without proof to counter.
ノックス第2条探偵方法に超自然能力の使用を禁ず。金蔵の死を赤き真実で示すならば、それを構築する人間の真実、証拠の提示を求めます。
許せクソ
こへ行けバトラー、我がしかもわんねえ。
Alright, let's hear it.
証拠提示。後宮金蔵と識別可能な遺体を提示する。
その遺体が後宮金蔵であると証明することができますか？
6 toes.
どれほど金
Each
蔵に
foot.
酷似した遺体であろうとも当人であることを証明できない限り、
But also
第三者の身代わり死体であるとの
just
主
a
張
body
が
double
可能です。
kept in the freezer.
それが金蔵の遺体であることを人間の真実で示せますか？本件のみ、赤き真実のみでの反論を無効とします。へえ、赤き真実での反論を無効？そんな思考もあるのね。
確かに第三者の死体が存在しないことはすでに赤で語られている。しかしそれを赤で語ることを禁じられたらバトラのやつお手上げじゃない。
Which means can only press straight on ahead.
そうだな。この閉ざされた六軒島ではこの死体がじい様のものだと示せる客観。
それこそはこの遺体が替え玉死体である可能性の示唆です。この身元不明遺体が金蔵の死を証明するものにはなり得ません。
チェックメイト、我が推理は揺るぎません。
Kleiner had sealed off the red truth as a means of proving that Kinzo's corpse had been shown. Even with the power of witches, Balor couldn't argue back.
赤き真実を封じられてどうやってその死体を金蔵だと証明するの？無理よ。不可能だわ。
赤と青ならね。
この死体が後宮金蔵の死体であると保
the
証
yellow
する。
truth, the gold truth. Then, when Delaner met with Battler's golden flash, she was unable to fully block it with either her red longsword or her blue short sword, and she was blown backwards into the air. It was a direct hit without any miscalculation. Though she had always seemed as firm as a small giant before now, she was finally blasted away and slammed against the wall as though she was the slender girl she appeared to be.
ドラノール、あんた何やって。
見事な黄金の真実、有効です。
黄金の真実？
Explain! The golden longsword, which had been drawing red and blue trails before now, finally drew a trail which retained its divine golden color. The truth it showed was neither red nor blue. It was golden truth.
何それ？ラムダ、こんなのはルールにあるの？
ええ、黄金の真実、有効よ。黄金の真実はこの世界の領主、いえ、ゲームマスターにしか使えない。
なんですって？
No illusions, no ifs, ands, or buts. This is actually what it is truth.
黄金の真実、赤き真実とは異なる方法によって紡がれる。その力は赤き真実と同等です。時に劣るでしょう。しかし時に勝る。
その輝きこそがバトラ君が本当にベアトを理解した証。
示したぜ。この死体がじい様であること。
はい。
Okay?
黄金の真実、受理しました。エリカ教の推理は修正に応じぬ限り破綻します。
そんな。
Not doing so hot, huh? Erica cried out in pain. It wasn't the pain of her body being impaled, it was the pain of her own theory being defiled.
なるほど。叙実トリックの寄せ集めかと思ったら。
Getting a little, you know, shoes on the other foot now. Intellectual rape correction? Question mark.
これはいつの間に。
Don't feel too good, does it?
野暮に過ぎるわ。あんたの遺体消失の真実、もはやこれ以上語らずとも完全に理解させてもらったわ。
It is an impossibility.
なるほどね。あんたの考えてるそれはこれまでの法廷の全ての赤に矛盾しない。19年前の男の復讐を軸にしたあんたの真実、その全て理解し受理したわ。あんたの真実の成立を宣言する。
そんな、どうしてですか、ダイラムダテルダ卿。あいつはまだ全てを説明しきっていません。秀吉の密室や夏日の自室の封印やクローゼットのボタンや、まだまだ他にも反論の手段が用意してあります。
Doesn't matter. The rest of your theory just completely falls apart. Took out one of the foundations. It's like a Jenga tower.
まだバトラに反論できる気でいるの？
Only Erica, the one who was supposedly so intelligent, couldn't understand. She couldn't understand that Balor had already found the real truth.
以上によりじい様の不在は証明され、夏日おばさん じい様をめぐる不名誉は返上される。夏日おばさん、純潔にして停粛だ。貴様ら好みの下劣な物語は許さない。
バトラ君。
This is a vanilla household.
さらにこれまでの死者全員の死亡時間に疑義が生じる以上、夏日おばさん以外全員のアリバイは白紙に戻る。もはや夏日おばさん以外に犯行が不可能であるとの論法は通用しない。
It's now open-ended. Delanor, who must have risen to her knees at some point, slowly stood up. The flash from the golden longsword was still carved deep into her chest. Though pain didn't show on her expression, her awkward movements clearly showed how serious the damage she had taken was. Even though she herself knew that this spelled the total end of the match, Delanor didn't abandon her duty.
されどあなたはいとこ部屋にて5人不可能な遺体を確認されております。それが虚偽であったとおっしゃるのですか？ノックス第7条、探偵が犯人であることを禁ず。
Balor's not the detective.
探偵は客観的視点も義務付けられています。あなたの推理はこの義務に違反です。
探偵はフルドエリカだぜ。
Yeah.
今回の俺は探偵じゃない。そしてノックス第9条、観測者は自分の判断解釈を主張することが許される。
Easy.
ノックス第8条、提示されない手がかりでの解決を禁ず。これまでのあなたは探偵でした。そのあなたが今回は探偵でなく試験を交える観測者であったことは示されていたの
Erica
で
has
すか？
repeated several times this round that she is the detective.
それがない限りあなたには主観を偽る権利はありません。
俺は今回のゲームで非分の謎の仕掛けを解いた時、じい様を目撃している。すでに赤で示されている通り、じい様は存在しない。
Yeah, my perspective and narration on things is clearly unreliable.
その目撃は不可能だ。よって、
Yep.
俺の視点に客観性がないことはすでに示されている。
それは風雨になびくシートか何かをあなたが誤認しただけの可能性があります。ノックス第9条を示す伏線とはなり得ません。誤認は全ての観測者に許された権利です。
第4のゲームにてレアトが示した赤き真実、全ての人物、後宮金蔵を見間違わない。
It's the red truth Beato used to counter my blue truth claim that someone disguised themselves as grandfather, and therefore made it seem as though he had appeared. In other words, on this island, anything which might lead someone to visually mistake something for grandfather, including someone else pretending to be grandfather, cannot even work. Cannot ever work. The scheme Aunt Natsuhi put together to make it seem as though grandfather was alive only involved her saying things like, he was here just a second ago, or he is in his study alone now, cleverly exploiting the relative's blind spots to pretend he was there. She never tried to make anyone mistake something they saw for grandfather himself, so there were no contradictions. If she had tried to dress one of the servants in grandfather's robe, it would probably have been seen through in an instant. It has been guaranteed that none of the characters in this tale would mistake something for grandfather by sight. If someone still claims to have seen grandfather, it becomes a falsehood. Everyone is permitted the right to falsify their observations, but there is one person who does not have that right, and that person is the detective.
風雨になびくシートを見間違え、それを何であったと誤認して語るの。しかし、じい様だと誤認することだけは赤き真実において、
There's
本
an
ゲームで
addendum
は
to
許
it.
されていない。
金蔵を見たと主張された時点で誤認識ではなく意図的、すなわち観測の客観性が否定されていることの証というわけですか。
Unreliable narrator time. In this case, unintentional misrecognition is not permitted by the rules of the game. However, it is possible to intentionally lie about seeing something you've never saw. And that is an action not permitted to a detective burdened with the responsibility of an impartial perspective.
討論を許せ。これで決着だぜ。
いいえ、いいのです。あなたのような男が世界にいてくれたなら どのような傲慢からもか弱き真実を守ってくれたに違いない。もっともらしい一つの真実がか弱き真実たちを駆逐し、本当の真実を守ってくれたに違いない。
Battler's golden longsword drew a massive blue arc as though splitting the heavens.
あなたと戦えてよかったです。
よって今回のゲームにおける俺の観測は第7条でなくダッチイ様を見たと主張したことがその証だ。
The noise which rang out across the cathedral was the sound of Delaner's longsword clattering to the floor. Simply letting go of that was the same as resigning to the proud Delaner. Though the blue trail Battler had drawn was aiming right for the top of Delaner's head, it stopped a hair's breadth away. If it hadn't, Delaner would have probably been annihilated without leaving a single scrap of flesh behind.
リザインです。あなたの真実の否定を断念します。
借りは返した。お前の親父に敬意を。実戒は傲慢でも批判でもなかった。
父に敬意を。
Delaner sat down on the floor and completely abandoned her will to fight.
何やってるんですか、ドラノール。
Well, she's daddy's girl and he found her weakness.
情けない、みっともない、マヌケなウスノの殺人人形。あんたは自分の父の名誉に泥を塗ったわ、恥知らず。それでもミステリーのくさび、魔法に屈するの。そんなの
Yeah,
ミ
it wasn't
ステリーの歴史が許さない。
お前こそ何もミステリーを分かってないが、ミステリーが相手を知的に見下すための狂気にしか見えてないなら、お前に俺は二度とそれを語らせない。お前に相反する真実を宣言する。夏日おばさんは19年前の男、すなわち俺によって内戦電話で脅迫されていたんだ。その目的は夏日おばさんを殺人犯に仕立て上げること。これは初めから夏日おばさんに濡れ衣を着せるための復讐劇だ。
Sure.
違います。夏日が仕組んだ後宮邸の復讐劇です。あなたの推理は私と真っ向から相反します。
Correct.
お前のその青い槍まだ抜けないのか。
そうね。エリカからはまだ金蔵以外の理由での遺体消失を聞いていないわ。あんたの推理は現在否定中だけれど。
Yep, clock's ticking.
こんな槍など。
Well, it seems to be a pretty big issue for you.
邪魔な。
The deeply piercing blue spear and the 7 red stakes tormented her theory. They won't come out. They won't come out.
修正とエリカの推理の誤りを認めるわ。そんな我が主。
Watching Erica's face contort with pain as she struggled to escape from the spear, Bernkastel declared this with a disgusted expression. For all intents and purposes, it was as if Bernkastel had acknowledged Erica's defeat herself. With eyes of shock and despair, Erica looked up at the master who no longer had any confidence in her victory.
あんたのプライドなんて知ったことじゃないわ。いつまでその無様な姿を晒す気なの。私と同じ青い髪を許された分身がいつまでそこで貼り付けになっているつ
I
も
mean,
り。
slightly different shade.
私自らがやはり降臨しなきゃダメなのかしら。やはり駒なんていらないわ。ああ、めんどくさい、めんどくさい、七めんどくさい。駒なんていらないわ。捨ててしまおう。
Throw it in the
ああ、
trash.
残念、無念、失望、絶望、期待外れの的外れ。早くし
Laying
な
it
さい
on
よ、
thick
ク
burn.
ズが。お前のそのみっともない推理を修正しろって言ってんでしょ。はい、我が主、修正いたします。我が推理を修正いたします。
Boo fucking who. As Erika's face twisted in humiliation and tears streamed from her eyes, she withdrew and revised her own theory in accordance with her master's orders. Mumbling quietly, she made various revisions with the blue truth, had them acknowledged by Lambda Delta, and finally had the blue sphere smashed and was freed. Though that blue truth did indeed explain how the bodies had disappeared, it was still shabby reasoning that reeked of desperation.
我が主抜けました。我が推理は完璧です。
どこが
Said that about the last one.
無様この上ないわ。でも許してあげる。あんたのその顔と推理がとっても情けなくて笑えるから。
Oh, Erika is kind of funny. Erika was taunted by her master, who wore an ugly expression. She thrashed about on the floor, crying bitter tears. The wounded Elena stepped out before her, as though shielding her, and she spoke to Bernkastel as well as Battler.
どれほどみすぼらしかろうと修正されたエリカ教の真実は有効です。
ああ、そうだ。
Do we need to get like a chair to Elena, or like, you can sit down.
俺の真実に関係な
It's
く
fine.
お前の真実も同時に存在する。それがこの世界だ。誰にも否定できないから。いくつでもどんなに相互が矛盾しても、それらここでは想像の数だけ真実があっていいんだ。それも誰も一方的に否定してはならない。
はい、エリカ教の真実は私が誰にも否定させません。
ドラノール。
このドラノールある限りその真実をお守りいたします。どんなにみすぼらしくとも私はその真実を嘲笑いはしません。
Well, it is what puts bread on the table. The words of Delana, whom Erika had previously looked down upon, led Erika to once again thrash about on the floor, sobbing.
そして唯一の真実が存在しない限り全ては闇の底だ。すなわち俺の推理もエリカの推理も否定不能であると同時に唯一の真実でもない。
It's a draw.
否定できねえが絶対でもないあやふやなものだ。確定しない以上魔女幻想はまだ存在してる。それを暴くことが許されてるのはエリカでなければ貴様らでもない。この俺だけだ。俺以外に
No one's allowed
ベ
to
アト
touch
リ
the
ーチの魔女
protagonist
幻想
role.
は暴かせない。
判
Comes
決を
with really
変
good
更。
benefits.
後宮バトラの示した真実によりエリカの真実の唯一性は失われた。しかしエリカの真実は否定不能。よって2人の真実は並び立つ。第5のゲームの決着を撤回。ゲームはイーブンに戻るわ。そしてゲームマスターは私から黄金の魔術師後宮
Oh,
バ
I
トラ
gave up on that one
に移
pretty
る。
easy.
後宮バトラ前へ。あんたを新しいゲームマスターに任命するわ。承諾するわよね。しなさい新しい無限の魔女。
ああ、俺が新しいゲ
You
ー
get a
ムマスタ
costume
ー
change too?
第6のゲームは俺が紡ぐ。エリカ、今度こそ俺と決着をつけようじゃねえか。立て。
ええ、立ちますとも。この屈辱、話す機会を与えたことを後悔させましょう。
Man, the Peace Beatrice is gonna be really fucking confused when she sees you being if she finds out you're the game master. It's gonna make her, you know, maybe pause for a second and be like, what? What happened? Well, who? What?
ええ、もちろんよ。チャンスをあげる。
あらすごいわね。あなたがチャンスをあげるなんて。これって奇跡じゃないの？奇跡の魔女ベルンカステル。
エリカ、奇跡的にあなたは命拾いしたわ。第6のゲーム、バトラのゲーム、何としても暴きなさい。 忘却の闇
Yep,
に
first one was a
捨
mulligan.
て
That
ら
was
れ
your
たく
learning
なければね。
experience.
はい我が主ドラノール。
無論次なるゲームにても全力を尽くします。
Alright, people, go back to your corners. Start your fucking game planning.
もう客人のふりはしません。私とドラノールであなたのゲームを引き裂いてみせます。
ああ、招待してやるぜ。悪いがタイトルはお前のつけたチェックメイト・オブ・ザではなくなるぜ。
あなたのゲームです。あなたが名付けるといいでしょう。その挑戦望むところです。
What's gonna be, big man?
私はフルドエリカ、魔女である以前にあなたがこのゲームの新たな支配者であることを認め、そして宣戦布告します。絶対に暴いてやる。殺してやる。黄金の魔術師。
It's only a game, Erica. Why you have to be mad?
ああ、存分にかかってこい、フルドエリカ。
Just watch, Beato. I'll take charge of your game. In this next game, I'll prove that I completely understand all of your riddles. Oh, no credits this time. Oh, thank God. Oh, my bad. All right. Oh, Jesus. Well, because I'm dumb, I still don't know all the solutions to the first couple games. I'll be honest with you guys, but I'm sure if I went back and reread them, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, now I see it. But that's not gonna happen because I don't have that time. I'll be honest, I just don't. Like 0% shot. And I'm scared to go on the wikis because it's the Type Moon wiki is known for doing this. You just go there and it's like, oh look, end game spoilers for fucking 20 different things, just right there in the first paragraph. Awesome, that was great. Love seeing that. And I would hate, I'd hate for that to happen here. So maybe all the way at the very end, like very last episode, that can be the wiki dive episode where we really go into everything. But until that happens, we're just gonna stay clueless in the dark. Well, I will. You guys already know everything. You're free to do whatever you want. You can go on the wiki and spoil yourself all day. I don't care. Just don't spoil me. Por favor, please. But with that is where we're going to end it here for today. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, or ring the notification bell. And I will see you guys all next time, where we're going to be starting up episode 6. Catch you guys later. Bye. Mwah.